Hi everyone. Today I'm going to do my fourth presentation on the IMF World Bank spring meetings. So we're going to take a look at London today and England. One of the books that I often talk about is The White Trash, 400-Year Untold History of America, excuse me. And one of the, the England and the United States, we share a common heritage and a common culture. And it is precisely this culture that is being under attack in our countries. And in the United States, it's taken a little bit different trajectory because we've had a liberal immigration policies for much, much, much longer than England. England, up until after World War II, 99.99% white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. You did have some Catholics in there and some Jews, but that's where diversity ended. But it has changed a lot. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick look at Spanion and his trip to London.
This was the garage, I think. I don't know if I'd leave my car in.
Hold on. We're going to do real quick
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, brother, yeah.
the nice Knightsbridge and stuff like that, petty crime, and then get into the hoods. I'm like, what's a hood? The slums, here they call them the estates, the projects.
Yeah.
How you doing? All
Yeah,
right?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Sorry I'm late, eh?
That's all right.
That was a longer walk than I thought. When I messaged you, I thought it's only 2 Ks. I'll just walk it. Bro, it took me nearly an hour.
Really?
I don't know why. So what's going on, brother? What are we up to today? I gave him a rundown of what we're going to do, but I don't know exactly. Like, I don't know exactly the plan. What are we doing?
So we're going to go around central London.
Yep.
And we're going to look at the areas where there's been the most phone snatchings, the most high profile robbery.
All the stuff that's on the news.
All the stuff that
like
you
on
see
the general
news.
public, eh? Yeah.
We're going to look at that.
Yep.
We're then going to go to some of the estates in London.
Yep.
I'm going to show you sort of, once you get out the centre, how it is some of the most deprived areas.
Well.
We're going to go to some of
What are the names of those estates?
So Aylesbury Estate.
Aylesbury.
In South London.
Yep.
Then we're going to go to Gascoigne Estate, which is in East London.
Yeah, well.
We're going to go to 2 different town centres.
Yep.
We're going to go to Whitechapel Market.
Yep.
Where there's been a lot of antisocial behaviour. It's been earmarked as one of the most sort of antisocial areas.
Whitechapel, is that the fully immigrated? It's like all immigration there. Is that Whitechapel or not?
Yeah, so it's in the borough of Tower Hamlets, which has a massive Bengali and Pakistani population.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to Barking,
Yep.
town centre as well, which again is a town centre which there's a lot of antisocial behaviour.
Barking.
Even sounds a little bit.
All right, mate, I'm Jeed. Before we start, I need a coffee. Sorry, let's get a coffee, cuz.
No worries.
Otherwise I'll be withdrawn.
London. It's got a lot of the main hotspots.
Yep.
And I think that's why it's a big target. So people, these phone snatchings, I think over 50% of them occur on a pedal bike. You get groups of maybe 1 or 2, or maybe on a moped. They'll drive up the road onto the pavement, snatch the phone, and before you can react, they're gone.
I seen, from what I've seen on the media, a big thing is on electric bikes because they're silent.
Yeah.
So they're riding around on electric bikes doing them.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you say?
Okay, so the phone snatching, let's see.
Yeah.
And they're usually, obviously, young men, 14 to 25, I'd assume.
Yeah, I'd say that's a real.
And what's the assumption is that they're from all of the estates that are close to here? They ride in?
Just the poorer areas.
The poorer areas, yeah.
I mean, whenever there's an area of extreme wealth, like Westminster, where there's a lot of wealthy tourists, like I'll talk about later with the high profile robberies, there's a lot of tourists who don't know sort of where they're going. They're looking at their maps. They might have expensive belongings. They can just be it's sort of a no-brainer for the people.
That's an age-old story everywhere. Let's see.
Yeah. There's got to be somewhere that they're all going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening as much.
That's right, yeah.
No point having all these locked iPhones just sitting around in your house.
Oh yeah, so hold on.
Quite a few of them come from China.
Yeah.
So it's been produced in China,
Sold around the
sold
world.
in England, just to end up be stolen and end up being sold back in China.
That's crazy. All right, so
Yeah, this is one of the things that pissed me off in Colombia was they had a huge textile industry, but you couldn't get decent clothes there. The regular clothes, everyday clothes, the just substandard quality, and even the fashion industry was the high fashion industry was, you know, like mediocre and not really, how shall I say, nothing to write home about. I mean, I really like the traditional textiles of indigenous people. If I, you know, that's what I want to do with them. Anyway, it's, so let's continue. But it just, you know, it was like, come on, these people, they're making it, but it's being exported and they can't even buy decent clothes. And then you go to the States. I mean, as I am a outlet queen, I'm always looking, you know, I loved those places. I even bought a dress for 1 penny at Nordstrom Rack. But I'm like, do I need any more proof how this system is not working? These people are being exploited. And we're so flooded the markets that I can even buy a dress for 1 penny. It was a nice dress.
they're snatching the phones, they're sending them to people who get them in bulk off everyone. Those people ship them out to different parts of the world where they have connects where they would then be usable. Yeah, because trying to use them here without fully redoing all the insides, they'd just be fully locked. But it makes sense that in China they've worked out a way.
Yeah. There's got to be somewhere that they're all going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Where are all the phones? It's like the socks that disappear in the washing machine. Where are they all going?
Yeah.
Like, there's quite a lot of reported incidents of it. It's as well. It's a lot of groups of people who go around. Maybe some will distract.
Yeah.
And just take the wallet. So.
Yeah.
It's these big touristy locations where it happens the most.
Yeah, well. What do you mean? So they block the stations off? It gets too busy and they block off the stations altogether?
Yeah, so when it's rush hour, or when it's like peak tourist times, they shut the entrances to the station. And
they open them intermittently to let people go through. Okay, yep.
And you can imagine, this is already a very touristy area.
Yeah.
So imagine when not the only way out, but the way out in the vicinity is blocked off. There's just hordes of people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's good that we picked it this day for it because it's not that busy.
Oh yeah, this is perfect time. So this is Trafalgar.
Trafalgar Square. So then I think
on to you about paying them.
Oh, okay.
No, money.
Wow.
That's a very
you see this stuff around Europe, eh? Let's find them.
yeah, they give you a flower and they say it's for free, but then you got to give them money and they won't leave you alone. So that's another scam.
Bro, it's a horse. Smooth. So this is 10 Downing Street. This is the Prime Minister's house. Look, it's so secured. It's police with machine guns everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in there.
It's just up. It's a wooden door. Well, it's not a wooden door anymore. It's a reinforced door. It used to be a wooden door till the IRA fired a mortar into there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the IRA, they parked up and they fired a mortar into 10 Downing Street.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
So, British colonization started actually with Ireland. long before the New World.
Naturally, they reinforced it.
Yeah, all right. No more wooden doors as well.
No.
Is this the bridge? Westminster Bridge? Is that what it's called?
The bridge. Oh, now that we've caught one. See these rickshaws?
Yeah.
These are extortionate.
Are they?
Extortionate.
In what way?
I mean, mate, the amount they charge you. I mean, black cabs are bad enough in London, right? They are even worse. I wouldn't say it's a scam. It's just a tourist trap.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
They take you for a ride and charge you literally hundreds of pounds.
Mate, they take you for a ride in 2 different meanings of the word. Do you know what I mean? They take your wallet around the block, mate.
Wow, bro, this bridge is busy.
Yeah, it's one of the main. No, all around here is just the main. You got the London Eye.
Yeah.
You got Elizabeth Tower and Big Ben that we just walked past.
Yeah, true.
It's like, and nowadays you see people queuing up in front of phone boxes and see people queuing up to take their Instagram picture. It's
Yeah.
actually quite dystopian.
Oh, in front of the red box, eh?
In front of the red box.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone boxes. Okay, so here.
Sport Network, TFL. There is so much crime.
Is this?
There's so much crime. So we talked about people getting their phones snapped, but there's a lot of offences to do. I don't know how to phrase it for YouTube. I've got phrases to do with women, incidents with men being a bit weird.
Oh, like sexual harassment, sexual assaults
on the London Underground.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the common thing.
It's pretty common, and I would hazard a guess that a lot of people I know have either had it, like experienced it in some sort,
No way.
or they've heard about it, or they've got friends who do. Yeah.
So for women on the London Underground, it's just a common thing that most people know someone or are someone that it happened to.
I would say, look, I'm not going to act as if it happens all the time, every day. You can't go on the Underground, but it's very much not unheard of. And there's certain lines which don't have CCTV in the train.
Well,
So it can get a little bit iffy.
well. That's putrid, lad. It's putrid. Where are we now?
So we are now in Knightsbridge.
Knightsbridge, yes. Coincidentally, right out front of the Rolex store.
So this is one of the richest areas of London.
Really?
You've got all of the like really famous hotels are here. So you've got the luxury shops, Rolex.
Yeah.
You've got Harrods as well, which we're going to go past Harrods.
Yep.
Massive, like quintessentially English department store.
Yeah.
And this is where a lot.
Oh yeah, Burberry.
Everything.
See, yeah.
It's just right in itself.
And so here, let's go for a walk. This is ground zero for all of those famous watch robberies. You know, there was even a time where the police were walking around. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Police were wearing watches.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
I was going to mention.
Was that around here also?
Yeah, it's all around here.
Yeah.
It's around here, and it's also in Westminster where we just were.
Yeah.
Here, especially because, I mean, the hotels here are unbelievable. And what the robbers will do is wait outside a hotel, a luxury hotel, or a casino, or a shop like Burberry, for example, and they'll see people wearing Rolexes, and then they'll come up to them, maybe in a group. They'll try and take it off their hand. They'll pull out a knife. You know.
So literally here, where we're standing.
Literally here where we're standing, and we're about to circle round to the Park Tower Hotel, which is where, like I said, that incident happened with that young man last month.
Where the young man was killed, stabbed to death. Far out.
So you got YSL. Knightsbridge is really one of the richest areas. And so when I say luxury high profile robberies, I don't just mean watches. They steal bags of designer clothes as soon as people walk out the shop.
Yeah, well.
I think there's been a few car robberies around here. It's not that often.
Yep.
But there's car robberies.
Car robbery, like a carjacking, like they pull people out and drive off.
Yeah, although I haven't, to be honest, I haven't heard of that for a while.
Yeah.
But people like luxury bags, nicked everything. And this is not, it's not the same as like the phone snatching in terms of I would argue it's a lot more malicious because it's like these people.
Oh, so these people are coming armed for confrontation. It's not like I just sneakily grab something and run.
No.
This is getting serious now.
This is organised. This is organised.
And so then I imagine it would happen often just even on this street where Rolex, Tom Ford, YSL, Dior, like we're in the mix of it. So that they would just how are they? Do you think they'd be easy to be spotted? What do they do? Like just hang around there, pretend they're talking?
Well, normally it would be one person who's
it'd be one.
No, so one person will be looking out. And there might be people in a car or people round the corner.
Oh, makes sense.
So you get like a lookout who looks for these people coming out of the hotels.
Okay.
So those are well-known tactics. So let's go into
the block here.
Yep.
I think there might be one or two people still left in the entire block.
Yep.
There's another block up there which is a little bit taller.
Yep.
Nobody's left in there.
Nobody's left in
it.
them.
Fenced off.
Well, so this is like the biggest housing estate in Europe.
At the time it was one of the biggest.
Oh, yep.
The actual biggest one is in Dagenham, Barking and Dagenham, where we're not going to that estate later, but it's around the area. It's also one of the most notorious estates in London.
Yeah, why? Why is that?
Well, first of all, look at the way it looks.
Just visually,
Visually, it looks like you're in the Soviet Union or an ex-Soviet country.
Yeah.
The reason I brought you here is because we couldn't make a video about crime in London without talking about, as soon as you go out of central London, you've got the housing estates.
Yeah.
Where they're...
Because this was like, we only just came into South London. We're only really, really shallow into South London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is...
We're pretty close to the city.
We are 15 minutes away from an area which is being described as like one of the most up and coming areas in London.
Yeah.
And this is what's here. It's a tale of two cities.
Yeah. Oh, so all of these still have people in them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look, bro, there's that style over there too, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll jump forward.
Racial incidents and whatnot, but it's not a case of like, oh, we stick together because we're this one race.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be like, oh, we'll stick together because we're all from this estate.
Yeah,
We're all from, in London, what we have is postcodes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So a postcode is like a zip code, it's like an area code. So it might be, oh, we're all from this postcode and we've all grown up together.
Yeah.
So we stick together. More.
So yeah, that's the same as Sydney, postcode wars.
Yeah. There's not division like along ethnic lines in terms of like gang violence.
I've actually got my postcode on my leg, hence why I wore track pants today. Because I thought if I get around, then maybe they're the enemy of people with a 20 on their leg, and they might think this bloke is from North London, kill him. And I was like, no, mate, I'm from Australia, mate, I'm a YouTuber.
Okay.
Anywhere from about 14 to mid-20s, even early 30s.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm sure you all know about the knife crime problem in London.
Mm-hmm.
It's very real, very, very real, and mostly gang related. Sometimes it can be to do with robberies, but a lot of it is gang related.
Yeah.
Areas having problems with other areas.
Yeah.
Estates having problems with other estates.
Really?
And a lot of it boils down to that. People lose their lives over it, and whenever there's a place where there's a lot of poverty, deprivation, the housing quality is quite low. Kind of invites these things to happen.
And that happens around here a lot?
Yeah. Like
in these very buildings.
In these buildings, and people would maybe congregate in these buildings, and gangs would form. Yeah. People like along these walkways. I don't even hazard a guess at what these walkways have seen in their time. Yeah,
I could imagine.
I mean, now that it's coming down and being knocked down, it's not like really deadly to walk around here, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
It's still not 100%.
Oh, so these still have people in them? Yeah, there's people all around us, yeah. Oh, look under here.
Everything here.
All right, sweet. Where are we going now?
So we're en route to Whitechapel Market.
Whitechapel?
That's it.
What's Whitechapel about?
So
didn't you say that's like the most antisocial place or something?
It was on one of the lists for the most antisocial town centres and
in London.
In London.
Wow, the most antisocial town centre in London. That's huge. What's this dog unit about?
This is about
police.
Squatters. That's
squatters
in the block.
Wow, look at that.
It's a real problem.
All right, let's go.
Right, like he is pretty shit.
Whitechapel. Well, Whitechapel, lad. This is Whitechapel Market.
Whitechapel Market. This is the heart of the East End.
Wow.
When you think of the East End of London, this is what you think of. Like Whitechapel, Brick Lane.
This is not like any part of London I've been to.
No, it's one of the most multicultural. So where we are, the borough, Tower Hamlets, it's one of the most multicultural boroughs. It's got a massive Bengali community and like South Asian community.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Bengali. What's that? Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Yeah. So the reason that I brought you here, is because this is where Jack the Ripper was on the prowl back in the day.
Oh really?
And also because really, this is
the most antisocial.
It's been flagged up on a list of London town centres recently as one of the most antisocial like areas in London.
Yeah, well.
So there are other places on the list.
Yeah.
But I think this is like a good example because it's really bustling, Yeah. Maybe like groups hanging around and sort of antisocial behaviour orders being given out, which is something that we have in this country. Is if you're being like a public nuisance or threatening people or anything like that, you get an antisocial behaviour order.
Really?
Yeah, and this is a hotspot.
Well, what does it mean, like antisocial? What exactly does that mean?
So it means there's loads of vandalism.
Yeah.
It means that people are hanging around, smoking, like drinking, maybe like threatening people, that sort of thing. And I say down here, I've had a fair few experiences where like I've been harassed down here.
Really?
Or
because you live close to here.
Yeah, I live in this borough.
Yeah.
And Rishi Sunak, who was the old Prime Minister before we had Keir Starmer, he called it a no-go area.
Really?
He called this borough, not just Whitechapel, but the whole borough of Tower Hamlets, he called it a no-go area. Now,
why? How bad must it have been?
To be honest, I'll be completely honest. I walk through around here almost like most days.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I like East London. My whole family's from East London.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel too bad. But there are, like, with the antisocial behaviour problems, there might be groups hanging around, people saying, what are you doing around here?
Oh, really?
Things like that. Yeah, I've had it to me a couple of times. It's happened to me.
And it just happens to you just walking around like just a normal person.
And to be honest, I don't think I look particularly conspicuous or
You don't look at all whatsoever of like someone who's trying to be tough, trying to be in a gang, like not at all.
No.
So for you, like I could understand if I got asked that, because they'd say, oh, tattoos, look at this bloke, who do you think you are? So you even get harassed.
Yeah, it's not like a daily occurrence.
Yeah, of course.
Walking like through here has happened a few times.
I feel, tell me if I'm incorrect, by looking at the way you are now, you feel like, I just feel like you're very like anxious.
I'm a little bit more on edge.
Yeah, you are. I can see it. Yeah, I'm trying to. You look nervous.
Yeah.
You got your eyes peeled. Yeah, it's like you're not focusing on the camera.
Yeah. No, literally. Do you know what? Whitechapel, I wouldn't say that it's like a gang area. I'm sure. Like, I know there are some gangs. I'm sure there are some gangs around it. But it's not really a gang area. It's more just like you never know what someone's going to come and say to you up on the street, type of thing. Because it's happened to me a few times. It's happened to people I know.
Like what type of stuff? Tell me what would they say exactly?
So I've like had people stop basically saying like, oh, like you shouldn't be drinking like alcohol on the street round here.
Oh yeah.
I've had people like they've said that, but that's never happened to me. Round here, it's just. Yeah.
Then when we're looking around, we're seeing like blokes on the balconies. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, do you know these blokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it feels sweet. So that's funny that it's like, that shows a different perception of what people feel towards, like, in Australia, we wouldn't, don't get me wrong, I'm just going to lie, bro, there'd definitely be lots of people. Lots. The majority would be like, look at that, I hate to be in that area, this is bullshit. Right? That would be one perspective. But if we're talking in terms of like, do I feel like I'm in the most antisocial, scariest? Not at all. Not whatsoever.
Now, you know what? The thing is, most people are just trying to get on with their lives.
Yeah.
And that's, no matter where you go, no matter who the culture is, that's what most people are just trying to do.
Yeah.
Most people are just trying to get on with their lives. And around here, I'm a little bit more on edge because market is busy, it's bustling, you never know who's hanging around the market.
Yeah.
Right? But in terms of actually feeling really like, oh, you can't walk through it, like the ex-Prime Minister said.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I
walk through here almost every day.
Yeah.
I live on this same road, just further up.
Yeah. Around the Muslim areas of Western Sydney. Actually, I can't speak for what would happen. I can't make up on the spot. I'll just leave it at like that would not happen. It would not happen.
Yeah, two of the most notorious, and they operated all around here and in Hackney. These are like, and they made their way into high society too.
Really?
And the Cray twins shot and killed somebody in here.
Yeah.
I believe it was a guy called Jack the Hat. They shot and killed, and that's what they got put away for.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of them got charged on that infamous pub, the Blind Beggar in Whitechapel. So there's always been crime around here.
Yeah.
Always been crime around here.
Oh, and there's all projects here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not only is it like this bustling market, antisocial area, but it's also in a hood.
Yeah. No,
okay.
There's loads of estates around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure, because we jumped straight out the taxi there, the Uber, and we're like in a downtown. So I didn't know if we're in like a business district, but no, it's residential.
Well, down that side of the street.
Yep.
You're going into the city.
Oh, we're right at the
city.
Oh, the city's right there. I didn't even know. Look at that.
Yeah.
Ah, so we're right outside the city. So we're in the inner east.
Inner east.
All right, yeah.
So this is probably, I would say, and I'm going to get a lot of grief in the comments for this. This is probably where the East End starts. I would say. Maybe you could argue just up the road.
There's still Jewish people there.
Yeah.
There's a Jewish family there.
Yeah. It's always been an area like that.
That Jewish family. Not to get too political, but I'll say this against something in Sydney. I'll compare this to Sydney. So that Jewish mum and son there are walking around freely in this Muslim area.
Yeah, I mean...
And they don't get harassed? I'm going to tell you the honest truth. If there was like a Jewish family just in that traditional hat with the sideburns and stuff like that, and they walked around the Muslim areas of Western Sydney, actually, I can't speak for what would happen. I can't make up on the spot. I'll just leave it at like that would not happen. It would not happen. Like it just would not happen. I don't know. That would not happen. So that just a testament to that. That was like very surprising.
I think London, because it's such a big melting pot of cultures. Like I said, most people just want to get on with their lives.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's such a I would say, yeah, Barking. The thing about London, right, is now that it's got so expensive to live in London because it's been gentrified. Barking is a little bit more. It's not on the outskirts, but it's a little bit more on the outskirts. So
yeah, see, everything gentrified. Gentrified is a key word for elitism.
The people who get pushed out of sort of like the centre come here. And so a lot of the crime is in this sort of radius around London.
I get you.
In these suburby areas, even though it's not a suburb.
What's the major cultures here?
Oh, I'd say Romanian, Albanian, Nigerian, quite a lot of Angolan people, a lot of like white British people, and a lot of South Asians.
South Asians too. All right. That's a pretty crazy mix.
You know, like I said, the reason I come here and bring you here is because there is a lot of antisocial behaviour. This high street is very prone to like large groups and big altercations happening.
Oh, really?
Around here, yeah.
Oh, well.
It's a bit of a meeting point in the middle of the town. Do you see what I mean? Where everyone comes together. That's not always the most positive thing. There's other places like Ilford, another place near here, Dagenham too. We're in the London borough of Barking and Dagenham, but this is the Barking part of Barking and Dagenham. Places like here that a lot of the crime has been pushed out to these areas, like I was saying, and I think a lot of the poverty's followed it. A lot of the poverty's followed it. You know, walking around.
Like races would fight each other, right? Their own race. Like you'd have people of one race, they'd have dramas with another people of another race. But you'd never really see like in an area a gang of mixed people fighting a gang of mixed people. Do you know what I mean? It would never be like that. Very rarely. The streets are very much in Australia and pretty much most places I've been, just like they would be in the prison system. Where it's like, you're that. That's your nacho, like, you know what I mean?
See, in this country, I mean, even if we're just talking statistics, in my opinion involved, black on black crime, it's to do with knife crime, is the highest rate of like knife crime. But it's not culturally, it's not like, oh, there's Africans who have problems with Caribbeans and they're just sticking together because of nationality. It's not really like that.
See, that is how it would be in Australia. Yeah, not that we have Caribbeans, but if I just replace those nachos with different ones, that pretty much does explain Australia.
And I'm not going to act like there aren't racial divisions here. Because there definitely are. Like in the same way that anywhere where there's multiculturalism, there's going to be there will be an element of tension. Welcome to Gascoigne Barking.
Well, that came out of nowhere. These are all the flats.
These are the flats
that they're in, eh?
These are the Gascoigne flats, indeed.
And this is proper?
This is proper. So there's certain areas that are used by the BBC. Maybe like when they're talking about crime and crime documentaries as B-roll, and the visuals look on point because the architecture looks really rough. But this is a place where not only does it look rough, it is very rough, and there's a lot of crime. It is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, my feelings for this area aside, that is the truth. And it looks the part as well. This is the real deal.
Start off with, how did that come about? Actually, how did it come about that you got into a gang?
Really, it's just a group of friends, isn't it? Like, people call it a gang, but to us it's just like a group of friends. Like, it's not really, I don't know, to other people that just might be what they think it is, because they look at everyone where you're at. Like, they look at a bunch of black kids from London just a certain way.
You're just identified by being from the same area or the same estate, or
like we grew up together, innit? Like, you know, like inside schools, you always have you'll have your clique inside school, but when we grew up, it's more than school. We live around each other, so this is where we're from, you know.
100%. And obviously the reason I'm here is because the media everywhere. I'm from Australia, even in America. Most of the world hear about the media, about London becoming very dangerous. Not that it always hasn't been, but it's just recently you see streamers are getting attacked, rappers are getting stabbed from America and stuff like that. So it's a big thing now. How do you see it as someone who grew up here, grew up in the hood? Do you see London as getting more dangerous, or?
I just see it as the same, but now it's like trending more. Now it's a trend more, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like trending in the media and stuff.
Yeah, trending in the media more. Yeah. It's always been happening. Like, people have been getting robbed, people have been getting stabbed. Like, this stuff has been happening. Yeah. You could say maybe it happens a bit more now, or does it is maybe just paid attention to more.
But how has it always been though? If more or less, is London a dangerous place?
It's always been like a eat the rich, innit? Like, it's always been like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, someone has something, somebody don't. Somebody's always going to want to take it. Somebody's always going to want to do it. going to a party in this place or going to this shop or something, and you know what the area is like, it's your job as a man, even if you're with your girl, to like be on point. Your girl's expecting you to be looking around first. You don't want to have to think. Do you get me? So same with that same like mentality. Say you grow up in a place where it's like you have to be looking around because you know that you got to be on point. You get me? And you know that actually it's not even just like a fist up. This guy's got this. So really and truly, the only way I'm going to really be on point is you know what I mean? If we're on the same level. So
wow, you said it perfectly there. So actually, the fact that it's in the media more now just feeds into that. It actually makes it worse. Makes people feel more so that they got to carry that stuff. So it's just expected that no one's even going to punch on anymore. There's no punch-ons. If you're in beef, it's you're either stabbing someone or you're getting stabbed.
That's what it's like now. It's like, it's like nowadays you could see like there's almost like less, I don't even want to call it honor or rules, but it's just like, I don't know, back in the days it could be something big, a big situation, but it might somehow get solved with these not talking, or maybe a fist up or something, or let's say back in you got rushed or something with baseball bats and that, but you know what I mean? Now somebody's gonna go slap at you while you're walking with your mum or something, because you know what I mean? Like you might be with your girl and they know you're with your girl, but they don't care, they just, you know what I mean?
Really? Bro.
You take care.
It's all right, lads, there we go. That's London for you, cuz, the ins and outs. Why is London so dangerous? What do I feel about it? Well, it's dangerous, bro. Straight out, cuz. The facts are the facts, and the statistics are the statistics, brother. At the end of the day, it's dangerous. Is it any more dangerous now than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 15, 20 years ago? No, apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. It's just become a thing that it started trending. Like you said, like CJ said, bro, it just started trending. Hello, how are you?
Brother? Okay?
I'm good.
I follow your thing.
Yeah, mad, bro. Thank you. Yeah, it just became a thing like trending, you know what I mean? How do I feel generally about London? Buzz. I actually love London. Like, especially downtown in the city parts. Don't get me wrong, there's heaps of rough areas, bro. And they actually look, that's not the way to say it, those areas are rough, lad. Those areas are pretty how you going. But for the rest of it, cuz, look, I'm telling you, London's popping. London's mad, bro. There's mad food, people are happy. I'll tell you something, cuz, when I walk down London, through the city, through the main strip, even at night, brother, everyone's happy. There's no tough guys getting around. Bros, I've been to some cities that aren't even notorious, some pretty ordinary cities, and every second bloke is like a tough guy that stares at everyone that walks past them or near them, or mate, some weirdos out there, bro. I don't get that vibe here in London. Everyone's just out having fun doing their own thing, cuz.
Okay, so that's his visit to London. So we're going to look at Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan. Now, Piers Morgan, one of the issues that I have with Piers Morgan is he's been promoting the lifestyles of the rich and famous for decades. And he's been part of the propaganda machine in Europe. And in fact, one of my favorite is when Lady Harvey, when she's on a panel discussion with him, she says that he's in the Epstein files. And I mean, he looks real worried, real sweating there. And then she adds, everybody who was anybody is in the Epstein files. You know, if you're part of the jet set and on the invite list of the upper crust, you could be in the Epstein files. So, you know, and he's from, his parents owned a pub, so working class. And you can see he is always, I mean, he cannot stand, I mean, he is so anti-Prince Andrew, it's not even funny. And just drools all over Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana. Where, I mean, Queen Elizabeth's reign was not a great success. It left the UK in shambles. This is what we're going to see with Piers and Tucker Carlson.
Country of nearly a million
There.
history, Britain had, in a pretty unhospitable climate, controlled literally a quarter of the Earth's surface, and not controlled in the way the United States controls the rest of the world. with an implied threat or with economic ties through trade, but actually controlled with administrators and people sitting at desks with eye shades, counting things, like actually controlled a quarter of the Earth's surface. Way more than Rome, way more than the Mongols, way more than anybody ever, or maybe in the future, ever. Britain was the most powerful country in the history of the world. And then 25 years later, it was this kind of sad, soggy welfare state, which is to some extent what it still is, except maybe even a little bit worse. What happened? Well, there are a couple levels on which to think about this. First is just geopolitical. And I guess they spent a lot of money in these wars, and the ruling class, half the class of Eton 1910 was killed in the trenches or whatever. You can think of a lot of different ways to explain what happened to Britain. The fact remains, however, they won the two biggest wars in human history. They won, and yet they're still greatly diminished and to some extent humiliated. It's like, what is that? So again, the first explanation can be described in economic terms. Well, the United States took over. The British Empire just moved west to its child, the US. They just transferred the power and a lot of the gold to this new country, which had its systems and some of its customs. Okay. But there's something kind of deeper, actually. If that were the whole story, then Britain would still be recognizably Britain. The English people would still be recognizably English. They would just be not in charge anymore. They would have less money and less power, but the country would be, by any conventional measurement, thriving, just not running the Bahamas and Hong Kong, Pakistan. But that's not what's happened, actually. After winning the two biggest wars in human history, Britain has shrunken, not just physically, but in some way that's hard to describe. Its culture has changed. Some might say has been destroyed, and it's become something completely different. And what is that? And by the way, why does it matter what it is? Well, it matters because what's happened to Britain, to England, is also happening to many countries in the West. Certainly its heirs, the Anglosphere, and that specifically would be Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Canada, Ireland. It's happening to those countries, but it's also happening to the rest of Western Europe all at the same time. A bunch of different, profound, never seen before phenomena are happening to all of those countries. And again, including ours here in the United States. So it's worth understanding what has happened to Britain. So maybe the best image that describes it is the one that we're about to show you. And in case there's no context in the tape, what you're watching is a woman being arrested outside of an abortion clinic. And keep in mind as you watch this, she's not being arrested for throwing a firebomb, a petrol bomb through the window of this abortion clinic in the UK, or even for obstructing access to this abortion clinic. No, she's being arrested and taken to jail for praying outside the abortion clinic. Watch this.
Before I ask you any questions about what's going on today, I have to caution you, which is just your rights, which is you do not have to say anything. It may harm your defence if you do not mention one question. Something which you later on in court, anything you do so may give you what are you here for today?
Physically, I'm just standing here.
Okay. Why here of all places? I know you don't live nearby.
But this is an abortion centre.
Okay, that's what is you standing here part of the protest?
No. I'm not protesting.
Are you praying?
I might be praying in my head.
So I'll ask you once more, will you voluntarily come with us now to the police station for me to ask you some questions about today and for the days where there are allegations that you've broken public space protection?
If I've got a choice, then no.
Okay, well then you're under arrest on suspicion of failing to comply with public space protection order.
So what is that? It's hard to argue that if your government is arresting people for praying, that you're watching a political phenomenon. Because, of course, praying is not simply a nonviolent act. It's not even a physical act. It can't possibly, at least in secular terms, affect outcomes or harm anyone. Praying for people can never be a crime, but it is a crime in Great Britain. Literally a crime. And the woman you saw is not the only person who's been arrested for doing it. So clearly we're watching a spiritual phenomenon here. I mean, there's sort of no arguing it once you see things like that. But what is that spiritual phenomenon and what are its effects on the people of this country? And before we go farther, we should just say that if you visit the UK, as it's now called, or London, its capital and completely dominant city, the first thing you'll notice is it's actually pretty nice. The nice parts of London are as nice or maybe even nicer than any city in the United States, certainly nicer than any city in Canada or Australia. Much nicer, actually. It's a great city filled with lots of happy people. But broadly speaking, this country has changed really, really dramatically, and it's changed in ways that are recognizable. And here's what you recognize. The people of Great Britain are going through a series of crises, and they're all internal. Drug use, alcohol use, their appearance has changed. People are no longer as well kept. The streets, the landscape is not tidy anymore. It's got lots of litter and graffiti in some places. And to technocrats, these are not meaningful measures of anything. Who cares if you've got graffiti? Does that affect GDP? Well, maybe, maybe not. But it's definitely a reflection of how people feel about themselves. People with self-respect do not tolerate public displays of disorder or filth or graffiti or litter because they care about themselves and their family, and they understand intuitively, as every human being does, that once you allow chaos and filth in your immediate environment, you are diminished. So you just don't allow that, and no healthy society does. But all through the West, these are not just features, they're defining features. All Western cities are filled with litter and graffiti and people who look like they didn't bother to get dressed this morning, but are instead wearing their pajamas in Walmart. It's not just in your town, it's everywhere in what we refer to as the West. The point that underlies all of this is a really obvious one that too few people say. This is the behavior of a defeated people. This is what it looks like when you lose. This is what it looks like when you're on your way out to be replaced by somebody else. This is what it looks like to be an American Indian. Now, one thing nobody in the United States ever says about the American Indians, except in the...
Yes, well, they've been defeated by the feminists. The men have been completely emasculated, and a bunch of power-hungry witches have risen to power. And they got to be taken out.
In the kind of pro forma white guilt way, is these weren't just impressive people, and no, they didn't write the Constitution before we did. These were some of the most impressive people, most self-reliant, most dignified. Read any account of early American settlers, people who were pushing west, who came into contact with Indians, and yes, were often scalped and forced to eat their own genitals and roasted over open fires. I mean, these were cruel people. But even the people who were in danger of being murdered by them respected them, because the indigenous Americans had a great deal of self-respect. They had what we call dignity. And now, hundreds of years later, the opposite is true. The poorest people in the United States are American Indians. Why? Because the federal government hasn't given them enough? The federal government is completely in charge of the indigenous economy in the United States and has been for over 100 years. And it hasn't worked. American Indians are still the poorest. Why? Because the Iroquois and the Navajo weren't impressive? No, they were the most impressive. Again, read the account of anyone who dealt with them. Even people who were dodging their arrows thought they were amazing people because they were. And now they are, by many measures, the saddest people in the United States. Why is that? Some inherent genetic predisposition to patheticness? They couldn't deal with modernity? Well, they probably could. They were defeated. They were defeated. And in some the deepest way, they wound up destroying themselves. And it's not unique to them. That's the point. And just to be completely clear, all of this is observed with a great deal of sympathy, not scorn. No one's mocking the American Indians. Everyone should feel bad about it for real. Again, not in a silly white girl guilty way, but in a real way. These are amazing people, greatly diminished. And the reason it's worth remembering is the same thing is happening to the West.
So the beauty of Thanksgiving is that it celebrates real food. I mean, at the core of the holiday is actual food, not synthetic garbage, the kind that is... There's nothing in there. They have them both. Stop by and pick up a bag because they're great.
And it makes you realize, especially if you travel a lot, that the problem is not necessarily the immigrants. The problem is what mass migration does to the people who already live there. They're the victims of it in a way that, again, is hard to measure and sometimes hard to notice, but totally real. So you walk through this city, London, and it's been completely transformed by immigration, completely. And the numbers are really, really clear. 100 years ago it was 100% European white. Now it's less than 40%. Okay, that's massive, unprecedented demographic change. Got it. And the immigrant areas are absolutely poorer than the traditionally white English areas. Absolutely. There's just no question about it. But wealth as measured by the government is not the only measurement. Actually, and this is true in the United States too, lots of immigrants who have a lot less money than the native population seem a lot more balanced and happy, both because this is a huge upgrade for them just in terms of like annual income and standard of living, but it's more than that. They're not defeated. They don't hate themselves. And if you have traditional nationalist opinions in the United States, I can confirm this personally, you're never going to be stopped on the street and screamed at by some Guatemalan who's like, you are racist for having your views on immigration. No, they'll probably agree with you, actually. The only people who ever get mad at you are the people who already hate themselves. And that's always famously some private equity wife or somebody who should be happy about how things are going because they're in the portion of the population that's benefiting from it, but they're not happy. They're angry. What is that? That exact same thing is going on in this country. Exact. And it's part of a very recognizable syndrome. And it's the most destructive of all. History is just filled with examples of people who get invaded and clubbed to death and have their women stolen from them. And they're fine. They're fine. It's the people who feel defeated inside who no longer exist. And that is happening to the West. And it's measurable. What other society hates its own national symbols? It's only happening in the West. Only in Great Britain. This is coming to be true in the United States. It's already true in Canada and Australia. What other country finds it embarrassing to fly their national flag? What are you saying if that embarrasses you? You don't hate the flag. You hate yourself. And it's obvious. Because people who have dignity, self-respect, who believe in their own civilization want to continue it. How do you do that? By talking about it a lot? No. By continuing it through reproduction.
No one is preventing the West from reproducing. And people come up with these conspiracy theories like, oh, they're doing it. No, we're doing it to ourselves. What else is abortion? It's not empowering for women. Of course not. That's absurd. Anyone who believes that is an idiot. Abortion is the way to stop people from reproducing. So is birth control, by the way. Of course. So is convincing people that their dumb job is more important than having kids. It's not. It never will be. Any person who can get clarity for a second will recognize that. It's only about stopping you from having more of you. And is there anything that's a clearer, crystal clear representation of how you feel about yourself than how you feel about having kids? And by the way, it's not just because they're selfish and they want to go on vacation and don't want to pay for children or they're worried about how much it might cost. Notice that none of these impoverished immigrants living on SNAP and housing subsidies, they don't seem worried about it at all. Because they know it'll be fine. By the way, most of the time it will be fine. They're having kids when...
Well, that's where we disagree. Because I deal with the fallout with the poor people and the rich people, and it's not fine.
Much more affluent natives are not because they believe in themselves and their culture, their civilization. They'd like to see it continue. It's the most basic of all human desires. So here in Great Britain, which has about a 40% abortion rate, 40% of all conceived children are killed. Who's doing that? It's not the immigrants because they don't hate themselves. They're not defeated. They're ascendant.
Well, so there we disagree on why they're not doing it, but
they can see the future. They know that they may not live to experience it, but they're still fully human. And they know you plant the tree not because you can bask in its shade, but because your grandchildren will. This is the most obvious of all human instincts and the most basic. But the native population in Britain is not debating abortion because it's not even a debate here. Everyone agrees it's just an affirmative good, of course, to eliminate your own people. Absolutely. Again, no one's making them do this. They've decided to do it themselves.
Okay, so we'll jump a little bit through his abortion.
Your fellow Britons, the ones whose great-grandparents lived here, the whites, they're the ones enforcing.
My problem with all of these, pro-abortion, I'm like, you're fighting for the rights of the unborn child, but when it comes to the rights of already born children, you're nowhere to be found. I want to defend the rights of the already born children, and I want to produce societies where we have no unwanted pregnancies.
They're the ones totally determined to eliminate themselves. Hate to brag, but we're pretty confident this show is the most vehemently pro-dog.
Okay. I mean, teach young men and women and societies, you have to be responsible for your bodies. If you start having sex, that's when kids can come along. So you have to be responsible.
Cable news host.
Candace, there's a lot of pushback about like the pill and hormonal stuff. I don't know the different contraceptions. I haven't done much research into it, although I wonder if some of the pushback is just not the alt-right, with a bit of misinformation. So that I'm not positive. But yeah, again, let's produce a society where, oh my God, the revolving door of sex partners, which you see like, New York and it's even going on in DC. Well, I left DC for that as well. It's been going on for a long time. And it's not a healthy lifestyle. The lifestyle of a rich and famous that Piers Morgan wants everybody to live and everybody else, it's not a healthy lifestyle. And the aristocracy, royalty, and 10%ers need to wake up and smell the coffee because, they're in decay and they're going to die.
Had a debate with him last year, ran into him in an elevator in the Middle East and decided to sit down and had a really spirited and interesting conversation with him in which I attacked his country with the fury of someone who secretly loves the country and hates what it's become. And so we're back here in his hometown and decided to have this conversation, and it follows in just a second. But before it begins, just want to be super clear about something. Piers Morgan is clearly wedded, has decided to remain wedded to the neoliberal version of the world where you're not allowed to say certain things and you have to repeat certain pieties, and it's all pretty embarrassing, obviously.
That's
But in
true.
fairness,
That's true.
Piers Morgan has single-handedly done more for free speech, which is disappearing in Great Britain, than any other Briton. He has done more for free speech than any other person in this entire country. Just want to say this out loud because it's absolutely true. And he's done it the old-fashioned way by allowing other people onto his platform, onto his show, to debate. People who have no other venue to say what they think.
Now, here I'm going to disagree with Tucker Carlson. Now, if Tucker Carlson would would give me a voice, because I want to take this into the courts. See, I don't want Piers Morgan. The problem with Piers Morgan is he brings in these people, and often it just gets into a shouting match. And they're doing this under the guise of freedom of speech. Yet, I have a book. Okay, it's not finished because I keep on updating it, because it would be, if I finished it, it would be out of date within 6 months, because it's an ongoing battle with the feminists and the anti-feminist and the socialites, Tucker Carlson included. Tucker Carlson went to St. George's prep school. He was contacted by one of the students to speak there. The headmaster said that he couldn't because he was dangerous, and it would be dangerous for the students, and whole kit and caboodle. But so Tucker Carlson, at the end of the story, just did a Zoom call with the one student, and he did it live. That was the school headmaster didn't appreciate that. But the point being is, the school has gone completely woke, but it's just like my school, Foxcroft, in Virginia. Now, the educational systems have gone to shit in this country. Moms for Liberty with Tiffany Justice. She's been attacking the issues in the public school, but then that was how she presented it. And she did a great job in building chapters, a national organization with chapters all over the place. But each chapter is kind of its own independent thing. So you got conflicting stuff. There's no cohesion. There's no leadership, as always. And the thing is Tiffany Justice just wanted the organization so she could dance a jig with Trump up on a podium and get a seat as an associate or whatever at the Heritage Foundation. This is the typical formula for the nonprofit. Erica Kirk is being criticized for all of this with TPUSA, stepping in and taking over for her husband. And it really does make her look, how shall we say, like a suspect in the whole murder investigation. If this was a normal murder investigation, the wife would be suspect. Particularly, she got this, I forget, was it $30 million life insurance policy because she became the CEO of TPUSA. So, the way that she is acting, I mean, she's the worst actress in the entire world. And, it's evident that she was one of these. I mean, the country is crawling with them. This is all you've got. So, of course, she was a gold digger. She was from Arizona. Her mom, you gotta find a rich husband for her daughter, or a strategically placed one, shall we say, because her mom's been in the military contracting. That's why she moved down to Arizona from Chicago, I believe, Midwest. So maybe it was Ohio, Midwest. So, Erica Kirk, she was primped to be a beauty queen. She's not going to get an invite into any of the socialite, the debutante parties. So, for the masses, it's the beauty queen. So she gets her daughter into the beauty queen. Her daughter, she had several, these are going to be sports celebrity boyfriends. They're their careers don't pan out. So she goes for a religious guy, with Charlie Kirk. But yeah, she's pretty much. I believe she's a honeypot. Her mom is with the military-industrial complex. This girl was. Reed, Cornelia Guest, debutante, the Guide to Life for a Debutante, I believe it's entitled, back in the 80s. You can also read How to Be a Preppy. The Preppy's the handbook for the Preppy, I think it was called. Yeah, there was the Preppy's handbook, the Nerd handbook. They all came out in the 80s, and it was to promote the lifestyle of the rich and famous of New York and Capote swans and backstabbing witchery of these ladies. The whole thing. Ann Woodward, she killed herself after Truman Capote outed out that she had killed her husband. It wasn't a robber. She'd killed her husband, and it was covered up even by her mother-in-law in order to avoid a scandal and any unpleasantness. See, this is the role model everybody is following, and I keep on telling all of these Marie Antoinettes. Remember how that's how Marie Antoinette lost her head. So get down from your ivory towers, and I've been telling that to the British royal family since 2018. It was Prince Charles then got a letter from me. Of course, they don't listen. I'm sorry. I'm by far the smartest student Foxcroft ever had, and that's putting the bar pretty damn low. It was all the robber baron era.
And you may disagree.
But it's not just the public schools. Our private schools are a mess, and they've been used as social climbing tools for the minoritist and the feminist, and they've gone completely woke. I was canceled from Foxcroft's Courageous Conversation.
Agree with 50%, agree with the other 50%. It doesn't even matter. That debate, the real debate about issues.
No, unlike Tucker Carlson, I'm not going to say, oh, well, they can do that if they want. No, I want to see them in court. But I can't do that if I can't find a freaking lawyer.
That really matter, that nobody else in this country is allowed to talk about, are taking place at scale on Piers Morgan's show. So if you watch this and you think Piers Morgan has no idea what side is up, why is he defending the indefensible? Keep in mind that here, and this is an authoritarian country where disagreement is no longer allowed, you go to jail for it. By the thousands, people go to jail for it every year. He really alone is keeping it open. So God bless Piers Morgan. With that, here's Piers Morgan. Piers, thanks for doing that.
This is also why it's important what I'm doing in looking at the Puritan movement, the Quaker movement, why all of these people left England in the 1600s and moved to Massachusetts Bay. It was Massachusetts Bay, Delaware, Rhode Island, and settled there seeking religious freedom. The issues are still present today.
Welcome, taking time. Welcome to my city. Which I've been so mean to, including in a conversation with you last winter in the Middle East, I'm attacking Great Britain. And I just want to apologize and tell you the truth about how I feel, which is I think that English culture and civilization is the highest level ever achieved by man in history. I really believe that. Everything about it. It's religion, it's language, it's literature. American society has never produced literature. I'm embarrassed to say. When
I heard Tucker Carlson, I said, how dare you? I devoured English and American literature when I was in my teens. So I highly will defend the American literature as just as good. This is where our culture started to diverge. It does diverge a bit, but how dare he say that American literature is not up to par with the British? Oh, both of everybody's gone to shit. This is the thing we'll see. I'm still sharing the videos. Yeah. We'll see with my slides, one of the publishing houses that I've contacted. It's in London. It's called Curtis Brown, and the founder of that, his wife was Carolyn Curtis Brown, who started the Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas, who believed that enlightened women united across the globe could do much to promote world peace. And I'm like, I agree. The key word there is enlightened instead of backstabbing bitches. And I served on the board of expat wives clubs in Bogota, the Francophone, Hispanophone, and Anglophone. I was even president of the Bogota Gay for a year. That was a real doozy. But, for example, the same backstabbing witchery that I saw on the board, particularly that year, is the same thing that happened to me with the IMF Family Association, where I worked for 2 years. And I did such a good job in putting together the files, the administrative system, which is what we need throughout our government agencies. That's where we need to focus. I did such a good job. And by the way, what I did was what I had learned from Patsy Geyer. She was the executive assistant to the senator that I worked for when I was an intern between 81 and 85 while I was going to GWU in Washington. And only person I ever had any respect for on Capitol Hill. And she ran that place ship shape. And she's the one who taught me how to put together a filing system, you know, organizational system, administrative system for an office, whether it be, you know, government or in the public or private sector. And it's a shit show everywhere. At IMF, it was a shit show where I'm working. Every place that I've worked, in the restaurants that I've worked ever since I was ousted for the second time in 2016, it's a shit show. And I keep on, I got notes and notes and notes and notes, all sorts of business case studies of, okay, let's start some videos on what not to do if you're trying to start a business or run a government. So yeah, okay, I went off on a tangent, but you know, don't attack American literature, Tucker Carlson.
What the Brits produced. And so it was out of sadness and frustration and a sense of connection to your civilization that I went on the rant about how much I hate it, but it was hate born of frustrated love and concern.
I'm just amazed you're here alive. I didn't think you get it.
Well, they're so passive now, and everyone's like bisexual. What are they going to do to me? Nothing. But
yeah.
So, but I just want to add, and I know you love it. You're a product of it. What is it? How would you describe English culture?
I would say it's not as bad as many Americans think it is, and it's not as good as many people here when they launched impassioned defenses of our country and our culture and the way things have gone would like to pretend it is. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. There's definitely been a significant change in the fabric of the country, in the makeup of the country, in the types of people who've come here, the volume of people who've come here. That's obviously had an effect on what this country is. Now, the debate to be had is whether this has been in totality a force for good or bad. And I took your views, your strident views about it when we met in Saudi. And I pushed back quite hard because I live here half of the year at least, most of that time in London. It's always been a very multicultural city. There's no doubt about that. And I don't walk the streets as Tommy Robinson would.
It has not always been a multicultural. I actually pulled the numbers. It is not. It
in my lifetime.
Very recent. Yeah, maybe right after you were born.
In my lifetime. I was born in the mid-60s. But you know, the way Tommy Robinson, who has a big following in America, the way he talks about it is not something I recognize.
Yeah, see, this is so egocentric of Piers in his lifetime. That's not very much of British history. That's just like a, you know, just modernization is good. Anything tradition is bad. This has got to stop.
Having said that, as I've always said about him, there are issues that he's raised which are perfectly legitimate. The biggest one is population. You know, in the 50s, we had a population of just under 50 million people. And a lot of the infrastructure, like the National Health Service, the NHS, once lauded as the greatest health system in the world, now has to do with a population of nearly 70 million. That is a dramatic increase in the volume of people in this country. And
they always loved, but the Europeans, they love to pull out their healthcare systems. And it's never been El Dorado that they've contended.
The simple truth right
now, it has gotten some of the greed that we have in the United States out of the system. So is it better than the American system, which is just, I mean, this is where we got to get HHS under control, but it's where do I start and where do I finish on the issues? So granted, Europe, their socialist system is better. And even, I mean, my father used to lecture in China and Russia in the 70s because his research was too expensive and wasn't accepted. This is in thrombosis, the treatment of thrombosis. But so, okay, taking the greed out of the system of the government has helped, but it's nothing to write home about. So stop it.
Right now is our public services are creaking at the seams, and in some cases, like the NHS, pretty well at breaking point. And that is why there is so much agitation about the simultaneous ongoing issues with immigration, both illegal, with this ridiculous farce of these small boats popping up on the south coast on the channel from France all the time. When the weather's good, they just stream in hundreds, sometimes thousands a week illegally into the country, but also legal migration and how we've abjectly mishandled that since really the turn of the century. You can chart it back to the Tony Blair years when they pretty well opened the gates to everyone in Eastern Europe. Way too many people came in way too fast. And then after that, there's just been a complete lack of any form of control. And we now have a situation where they've had to try and put the brakes on legal migration coming in, because 2 years ago we had a net migration in this country of nearly 1 million people. Now, it's not racist, as some people are trying to brand it, to say that that is alarming. A country like ours, if you don't have an effective border, if you have 50, 60,000 people a year coming in as they are illegally on these boats, and then you have a net migration of legal migrants coming in of nearly 1 million people, the already crumbling infrastructure is going to come under, obviously, enormously higher pressure. So it's been a series of governments, left and right, I have to say, starting with the Blair government, with what they did with Eastern Europe, and then coming forward to successive Conservative governments, and now the current Labour government, all of whom, in my opinion, have handled this so badly that inevitably we now have a lot of people in the country going, what the hell is going on?
I wonder, though, I mean, everything you said is so clearly true, and it was Tony Blair, really the lowest, probably tied with Boris, but really one of the worst prime ministers, leaders of any country ever. But I wonder, I often hear people say, well, it's about the NHS, National Health Service, it's about the roads, it's about, you know, NHS is like a very new creation. It's a post-war creation. It was never going to work. It's never worked anywhere. The Brits were so kind of pathetically proud of it, but it was the whole thing.
It did work.
But for a time, that was worked for a time.
By the way, if you walk out of here and you fall over and you break your leg, you'll get treatment quickly.
That's great, but the health outcomes were never better than the United States. It didn't actually work. But whatever, you could argue, but
that's the cost of it.
But what's so sad is that for your whole life, you've been told that what is Britain? What is this project about? It's about the National Health Service? I mean, that's kind of aiming a little low. Like, who cares about some bureaucratic structure? What about England? What about the culture? Like, so in my mind, as a P.G. Wodehouse reader, lifelong, self-restraint, duty, courage, patriotism rooted in your religious faith, our Lord the King, a phrase that was common until recently. All of that seems to be gone.
Well, we're still a very majority Christian country, right? Still 40% of the country are Christians, right? That's a fact. So when I hear American,
whatever that means, I mean, get arrested for praying outside an abortion clinic. That's not a Christian country.
Well, okay,
I mean, that's
there are nearly 50% of the country identify as Christian. The more concerning thing for those who have faith is that nearly 40% now have no religious belief whatsoever, right?
Right.
Then we have a lot of other religions. There's a slight amplification of, for example, the number of Muslims in the country. There are nearly 4 million Muslims in the country. And that represents about 6% of the population. But 43 or 4% of the population are still Christian. So I do think, again, that the over-amplification of the Islam problem, as people put it, or the Muslim problem, has been massively overstated.
Well, that's an obviously. Yeah. Hate the Muslims. No, we know where that's coming from.
I don't like it.
I hate it.
In my high street alone, in West London, most of the businesses would have Muslim employees.
Yes, well, I keep on pointing out that this anti-Muslim sentiment has been created by, 9/11 and terrorist attacks, and, legitimate violence on the part of Muslim men, but also all of these women, starting with Betty Mahmoudi. Okay, I mean, she was American, but she was married to a Muslim, and they went to, it's Iran. And, so she used the same formula. She started the formula. It was just the American who fled. After that, it became the women, the Muslim women from the Middle East fleeing. But she set the stage and the formula of the book deal, the movie deal, Never Without My Daughter, Not Without My Daughter, and how she was trapped in Iran, and her husband would beat her and lock her up and yada yada yada, and how she escaped and fled to the United States and was free, was liberated. Whereas when I looked into it, what really happened was she came back to the States and got a divorce, filed for a divorce. This was her second husband, and he was much older than she. He had a house, so she ended up with all of his assets. She got him, like on a no-fly list, and he couldn't come back into the States. And then while that was happening, she filed for the division of assets. And I mean, I'm sure she had somebody in there in her pocket within the courthouse. I mean, we see this all the time. This has been going on. This is one of the problems that, I know about, because I know about with the family courts. This is that type of stuff is going on, I think, with the Mitch Snow case. I mean, it's similar. It's just they call it in Spanish, joder para joder, to give it a name. We're going to call it joder para joder, family courts, and we know what we're talking about. It's the typical manipulation of filing and, by abusive lawyers and litigants. And I keep on telling everybody, if you are using the courts to harass people, that is illegal. It's got to stop. We'll get into the court stuff within these presentations, but so let's.
Employees there,
but also, how is hate the Muslims better than hate the Christians or hate the Jews?
No, it's all the same.
No, it's the same.
And I've heard you say, and this is the point I come from. Hatred is hatred is hatred.
I totally agree.
It doesn't matter who you're hating. The moment you're in the hate game, then I think you're losing whatever argument it is you're trying to have.
I totally agree. But moving off from hate and getting back to the world I live in, which is fear and distrust and gut level loathing.
Yeah.
It's the secular people who are the problem. I've never had an argument with a Muslim, with an actual Muslim. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a Muslim. We probably agree on a lot. It's the secular self-hating whites that stand up from the table and leave when I'm meeting with them here. Just saying. And that's true in my country.
He's right. He's right. Totally right.
But leave aside, I just sort of wonder.
No, that's not true, because all of the Muslim women or the Jewish women, oh yeah, we're going to have a problem. But I'm also going to have a problem with the whites. So, it's the women is the denominator there.
And so I'm not hating on the Muslims at all, or bad Muslims or bad everybody. I just think a country is more than its bureaucratic systems, and certainly more than the NHS, which I will never think is impressive, sorry. Or your metric system. Which
I do think you're wrong about that.
Maybe.
But you're not wrong about the state of it now. I mean, I'll give an example. What wouldn't have happened in the 60s and 70s with the NHS is what happened to both my parents recently. So my mother had a heart attack.
Right.
And ended up being put on a trolley in an accident and emergency unit, but out on the corridor with 30 other people on trolleys. It was Dickensian. This was like a third world country.
Oh, yeah.
And she got hardly any treatment at all while she was there. Now, when she eventually got up, and this is the apex of the NHS for me laid bare, when she eventually got into the heart unit, she got incredible treatment on the NHS, didn't cost her anything. She got fixed up and repaired. Turned out she had a blocked artery, and she was home in 48 hours and was great. My father broke 6 ribs recently. Again, the same story, just kept waiting on trolleys and so on. This is going on all the time. Because it cannot deal with the volume.
We have the same problem in our country. All the community hospitals are closing, right? And our emergency rooms are unusable because of illegal immigration. I agree with you completely. I'm just saying, if you have a country whose main source of pride is its healthcare system.
I don't think it is.
Really? Because in the 50 years I've been coming here, no matter what you say, they're like, have you heard about our healthcare system? It's like, I thought you were about the greater glory of God and like subduing the world for civilization and the English language and our literature and our history.
I certainly think we're about, listen, we'd certainly, I checked a few stats on the way here.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you did. So did I. Well, this Christmas, give the gift of sleep with 8 sleep.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson's chewing him up and spitting him out. Oh, it is funny, I have to say. Okay.
I think collectively, as a country, which did make this country great. And
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I agree with you about that, because I do think that it's become a bad thing to be patriotic about our country. There's a huge war about waving the Union Jack flag. I never see that war raging in the same way in America, right? There's a lot of pride. I mean, I'm not giving an example.
But it will. That's why I'm doing this interview.
Well, it may well, yeah. It was very interesting when I did Celebrity Apprentice. That's where I met Donald Trump.
But see, he doesn't know there has been an issue with the flag, the Confederate flag. And anybody who wants to turn that into a race debate, please give me a podium.
And this was back in 2008, and the organization that I raised money for, because it was a charitable thing, we had to have a charity, was the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, and they had a base down in San Antonio. So I went down there, and I remember distinctly coming off the plane and seeing a load of people with flags, and I couldn't work out what was happening. I knew it wasn't for me, American flags. And it turned out that they were there greeting every single serviceman and woman who came off the planes from whichever war zone they come from, because there was a big center there, a lot of military service people living in San Antonio, a lot of them also being treated for serious injuries and so on. And they were just applauding and thanking them for their service as they came off these planes. You'd never see that anywhere in the UK. That just doesn't exist as a concept to do that. I was very struck by that. And, I do think America generally is a lot more proudly patriotic than we've become. We've become almost ashamed of being British in a way that I don't like. I think we should be prouder of ourselves and prouder of what we've achieved and prouder of what we could be. But one of the reasons why people don't feel that pride, I think, is because we've had a succession of what I would say are pretty hopeless politicians.
Well, maybe you
who
have
dragged us into a place where people don't like it.
I get it, but maybe you got those politicians because the people hate themselves.
I don't think we hate ourselves. We're just, I
Really?
think we've had a shockingly mediocre tier of politicians.
But I mean, the sort of increase in British masochism, which has famously been part of your sexual retinue for centuries, can be more. No, that's just true.
Yes, this is precisely. I mean, this is what Nancy Eisenberg, this historian in the White Trash, 400-year untold story, an untold history of America, gets into. This the dark side of the British culture, because everybody has, people always say, what's the favorite place that you've visited or lived or whatever? And I'm like, every place that I've lived, it's had good things and it's had bad things. Nobody wants to face the bad. Nobody wants any unpleasantness. Oh, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. Starting with my mother when my husband's trying to kill me. So, we have to deal with the self-destructive parts of each of our cultures. The food, everybody wants to promote culture. I mean, this has been, you go to any of the IMF, World Bank spring meetings, annual meetings. I've never been to Davos, but I'm sure it's the same thing. There's lots of dancing and spectacle. In the evenings with, food and drink, that flows all over the place. And we all know about the affairs. I mean, these are all the people who are involved with the Jeffrey Epstein networks. I've been exposing everybody who's in the Epstein files. I've been exposing these people for decades. And not only have I been exposing, I'm coming to the table with lawsuits, standing cause, evidence, arguing the case. I mean, the whole kit and caboodle, but I can't get any assistance. Yet the Me Too people, anytime you see Gloria Allred, Lisa Bloom, her daughter, or David Boies, the name in there, oh, you're dealing with some real criminals. They have been taking malicious litigation to the court for decades. It's illegal.
You well know. I don't know.
You Americans love a bit of spicy.
No, not in the boarding school way. But anyway, whatever. The point is, that has increased dramatically since the Second World War. And
all of these prep school, boarding schools, St. George's, Tucker Carlson's wife was the headmaster of St. George's when he went there. And there was the cover-up of sexual abuse and assault of students when his father-in-law was headmaster. And the cover-up included the father-in-law. Now, his father-in-law wasn't involved, but still, you go onto the Wikipedia page of all of these prep schools, mine is Cobham Hall in England and Foxcroft School in the United States. Okay, there I don't think you've, on the Wikipedia page, I don't think Foxcroft you have the sex scandals. And perhaps not Cobham, sorry. But you go into the same sex ones or the boys' schools, and they're all there. You know, Eton, Hotchkiss in the States, Cho, go through them. It's all over the place. Just like with the Catholic Church, it's been covered up. Lord Mountbatten was a pedophile. Everybody is so concerned about Prince Andrew. I'm like, excuse me, Lord Mountbatten was King Charles' surrogate father. Now, I hope there's no concerns there. I hope there's been no proof or indication. But if there was a concern, it would be there rather than Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was, you know, the soldier, the picture perfect royal. I mean, the Me Too women have turned him into this villain, and the media has just jumped on board and made a fortune of it. And the poor man had his reputation destroyed and his career destroyed. Now, I want as much presumption of innocence and due process for Prince Andrew as I want for Tyler Robinson in that case, as I want in family courts, as I want for everybody. You get due process, which necessitates presumption of innocence. People have to prove what they're saying about you. They can't just say it, then you have to prove your innocence. That's got to stop. And that was very, very British. In fact, the whole legal code of Britain, this is what I go into and what I've been researching for years and years and years, while, you know, and also in preparation for the cases that I'm preparing for the courts. And it's looking into our past, and we've got to start doing that. That'll get with Marianne Seigart and her father, who wrote he was a UK barrister, and author of The Lawful Rights of Mankind. So, you know, Tucker Carlson, come down from your ivory tower before the peasants come for you.
I have done a couple segments on the Second World War that have been very kind of shallow and not even really talking about the details or whatever. You're a Holocaust denier. Obviously I'm not. Whatever that means. Hitler killed a ton of Jews. That's terrible. So that's been a diversion, really, that specific conversation from a much more important, broader conversation about what that war did to the West. And I think it's totally objectively fair to say the West, specifically by which I mean your country, which is really the seat of the West, has been in decline since the war. So, like, what is that? Do you know?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's been in decline since the war. There was a lot of recovery after the war. It was a devastating war. I mean, you know, one of the most extraordinary aspects of that war is that Winston Churchill, who many people here to this day believe, you know, pretty well single-handedly rallied the morale of the people here to help us defeat the Nazis, albeit with obviously America's help, that he, in the end, at the end of the war, he got thrown out of office because so many people came back to a really bad lifestyle. You know, a lot of impoverishment, a lot of, you know, homelessness and so on.
Well, maybe were there other reasons? Like,
no, that was why they took it out.
Did Germany attack you first? Is that what happened?
What do you mean?
Did Germany attack Britain? Is that how you got into war with Germany?
Germany attacked Poland.
Oh, but not the UK.
No.
Oh, okay. Because they wanted. So you voluntarily joined the war.
Yes.
Okay, right. I'm not defending Hitler, of course, but it's just a fact that you weren't attacked. So when you say that Churchill saved Britain, well, Britain got into the war voluntarily.
Well, voluntarily. One of our neighbouring European countries was attacked, and it was quite clear.
Okay, we know where this is going. Okay, so but Tucker does make a good point.
It's an English country, so we're in the city of London now.
What do you mean that? What do you mean by that?
It's not. Well, people whose ancestors built Stonehenge are not here anymore. So the city of London is 36% white, and that's happened in the last, 40 years.
But England is about 70% white.
England.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it was 99% in 1945.
Okay, so we've evolved.
But you're on the way to becoming the minority in the country. So no one wants to say that. I think you can get arrested for saying that here.
Well, wait a second. They've evolved? has have the populations who have come to England helped the economy, helped the society, had a positive impact on England? I mean, okay, the food. I went to English boarding school, and I can assure you the only thing worse than English food is English institutional food. And having said that, there are some very, very good British recipes. Now, I'm sorry, Brits. I'm going to have to go with the French and the Spanish cuisine in preference of the British cuisine. But yeah, okay. I like the fact that, yeah, you can go and you can get really good Indian food. You can get really good ethnic food in England. But as Tucker Carlson says, I don't think that that's one thing that you can pull out of your hat to justify all of the other problems. You know, like, oh, okay, you got health care for everybody and you got some good food, but the rest of your country's gone to shit. So everybody has to confront this issue. And with my work in globalization, it had always been about Americans or Europeans, you know, going to South America. I mean, I lived in Europe and then South America, so I wasn't in Asia, but it was the same can of worms that they're doing it. They're just doing it so they can hang out in country clubs, and while the corporations exploit the people of the country. So of course it's not sustainable. And also, wherever I went, it was for me, and I was precisely going to that country to get to know that culture, to integrate myself into that culture. I mean, everybody was like, my God, like, you know, like, gosh, you're American, because I did integrate with the French. I had no problem with the French, the Belgians, the Spaniards, the Colombians. I've never had any problem with any of the other cultures or people. And in fact, if I go to that country, if I go to, for example, Morocco, I love Morocco. You know, I go to get to know their culture. I'm not going to maybe become Moroccan or Muslim, but I'm going to integrate into that culture. I'm not going to try and say, oh, let me go and start a McDonald's at the corner. I'm very anti-McDonald's, and I use that example a lot. And it is a metaphor, but you get my picture. And you know, I might, I'll say, oh, I'm going to make you some chocolate chip cookies, because we Americans, you know, I was famous for my chocolate chip cookies wherever we lived. So yes, I did have some like American things. But as I say, I'm a great French cook, Spanish cuisine, Moroccan cuisine. I mean, I prefer Mexican than Colombian, whatever. But this idea that minority immigrant populations can just come into England or come into the United States, and we're here and we're going to become more entitled and narcissistic than y'all, and we're going to be the dictators of y'all. We're a minority, but we're going to be the new dictator. Yeah, that's not going to go over too well, because that is exactly what's happening. I've been thrown to the wolves. I keep on getting fired. Freedom of speech. Tucker Carlson is talking about freedom of speech in England. I keep on getting fired. One was because I supported Bobby Kennedy. Another was by a bunch of vicious African American men and women who, the white privileged American who had been thrown to the wolves and is hardworking to boot, and noticing what a shit show they're running. She gets fired. And everybody supports this, particularly the pedophiles, they support the at-will employment. I'm like, what are you people doing? This is precisely what we challenged the British Empire about with the American Revolution. These are precisely the issues. And, I mean, I can't even get a lawyer to call me back. Well, one did. Morgan and Morgan, when those were Bobby Kennedy's partners, and I had gotten fired. One of the jobs I got fired from was from supporting Bobby Kennedy in his 2024 presidential bid. Yeah, no, sorry, no case here. What the frick is going on with you people? I mean, see, Tucker Carlson, you need to interview me and not frickin' Piers Morgan.
It's not white supremacy. This is the indigenous population of the country.
It's a statistical fact that I think by 2100, we will be a minority white country.
2063 as of today.
Well, I read a bit later.
But these are dynamic numbers, so they change.
Yeah, but here's my question for you. So what?
Well, let me refer to the beginning of our conversation when you said that the people who live in a country define the character of that country. And then you said, yes, all the things for which we were famous and in which we had pride, like our stoicism, our concern for others, our tidiness, the cleanest country in the world. Now it's pretty filthy. All those things change when you get new people moving there. You said that. I mean, you're the racist, not me. So I'm just using the parameters that you said. I
did not say that was down to.
No, you didn't say, you didn't.
White
When I first moved abroad in the 70s, everyone agreed that they would tell you how obnoxious the Americans were, how fat and uncouth we were, all sorts of stuff. But they would agree that when it came to customer service and being, friendly and amiable, nobody could touch the Americans. We combined the kind of like the good service and the accueil that you find in Southern Europe with the efficiency of the Germans. Who can beat that?
You didn't
of the country.
Well, that's what made America great. It was our Puritan worth ethic. And it was those Puritan worth ethics that were established by my family tree, the Wilcoxes, from England. There's two. There's admonitions to Parliament. These are Puritan documents. That's 1571, Thomas Wilcox. And then there's 1661, A Choice Drop of Honey of the Rock Christ. Now, I'm still looking into all of that area of England and those are on my family trees. That's still part of my research, but that's on Ancestry.com.
That's who lived
I don't
here.
believe that.
No, but that's what you said.
I said there was creaking pressure on public services.
No.
From the increased
But
population.
you also maybe foolishly admitted the truth. You can get arrested for this. I know the stakes are high. But you said that when the people who live in a country change, so does the culture, which is like the most obvious. It's like when it rains out, it gets wet. That's not a controversial observation, but it's illegal here because it is true. And my only point is not against, I've already said, I like the Bangladeshis better than I like the liberal whites in your country. A lot more. They've never yelled at me. I'm not attacking them. I'm just saying the things that made Britain, England. Is there still an England? I have no idea. Those are going away because there are different people living here. And if you think that those are good things in the same way that the Swedes or the Chinese or the people in Burundi and Chad, they like their culture. It's their ancestors' culture. And now it's gone. And why can't we say that's bad?
Well, because you may think it's bad.
It's good.
I love living in a very multicultural
But you're rich. I mean,
No,
you're rich.
it's
If you
not
go to the white parts of London, they're exactly the same as they were when I was a child. I've been coming here for 50 years. They're exactly the same. What everyone's saying is exactly the
Which
same.
do you think is a white part of London?
I'm not going to tell you.
Well, that's a little test for you. Which area of London do you think is white?
The one I'm staying in right now. The one where my relatives live.
Where?
I'm not going to say.
No, you don't want to say because you know that I'll immediately say, "Come on, there's loads of non-white people living there." There's no.
By the way, I'm not against non-whites.
There's no exclusively white area.
Okay.
There's not.
Christmas season is here, and although it's a bit of a cliche, it really is important to keep Christ in Christmas. Should we focus on cookies and presents or on the reason we're doing this, which is Jesus? Obviously, the point is
Those two things,
I'm saying the
in
West,
my view, are not automatically linked. There are lots of white people who behave very badly in this country.
Well, I've met them, and they yell at me. So
Right.
yes, just for the fifth time, I have more in common with the sincerely religious Pakistani cab driver than I do with anyone who works at the Times of London. That is just a fact. I don't like those people. I don't want to eat with them. And they're white. So all true. All I'm saying is the qualities that made Britain the greatest country in the world were linked directly to the people who live here. And so, of course, by definition, multicultural means less of some cultures because there's dilution of the dominant culture. And you've conceded that
there are lots of people who are non-white, who've been born and raised in this country, who've contributed brilliantly
I would never
to
deny
the success
that.
of this country, who've risen to the top positions in top industries, whether it's music.
So defensive.
Art.
I'm not attacking the non-whites.
Well,
because you're worried about getting arrested. I get it. And
I'm
by the
not
way,
worried about being arrested.
When they rush
I'm
in
not
the
worried-
door with no guns, little
Well,
bobbies with their
they
sticks.
might if they know you're here.
Probably.
I'm not worried about
I got
being
hassled
arrested.
at your airport again. And
Really?
yeah, always.
Well, for being Tucker Carlson.
You know, we don't know. It's just, it's the AI, I guess. But
No, wait, I love that. What happened to you?
you know, it's like, go see the attendant. And by the way, the attendant was some Pakistani woman who's like, oh, we're so glad you're here. Which I don't think I would have gotten from the liberal white lady. So again, once again, I'm not attacking anyone on the basis of their race.
Yeah, but you're saying
or
that our
their
culture
religion.
has changed because we've had other cultures come here. Is that your position?
Well, it's not my position. It's a fact. And you just said it at the beginning.
I think.
So it's better. So what about British culture didn't you like and has been improved by new cultures?
Oh, well,
tell me, what didn't you like before? What are you glad is gone from the Britain you grew up in?
Let me tell you, if you came to London in the 50s and 60s, the food was crap. Absolute crap.
Well, it was that way in the 80s when I was
Inedible.
here.
Right. Now, we have some of the best gastronomy.
Amazing. Some of the most expensive, too. I wonder, is everyone eating there?
No, I can tell you.
I paid $1,000 for dinner last
You're
night.
a wealthy man leading a very wealthy lifestyle.
Holy shit,
Why don't
all
you
the
come with
food
me?
here is-
Come with me to Brick Lane. Come with me to Brixton. I'll give you a proper
I
meal.
love it.
And
You and I will go to the tough parts of
spend-
town and eat street food. But
I can give you a great
But are
meal.
you really saying
I'll
the
take you to
food?
I'll take you to the top end
The
of Portobello
food?
Market. Right, you come with me. If you want to risk death walking up to Portobello Market, I'll take you and give you some street food and you'll spend
been to
£10.
Portobello Market, and by the way,
you go to
just
the
in
food
point of fact, I'm quite popular there. I will say that.
In Notting Hill?
I feel no fear at all.
In Notting Hill?
Yeah, I will
Really?
eat. Oh man,
I thought they're so liberal there.
Don't even get me going.
Even I get a hard time up there.
I think they secretly love me because they know that they've been naughty. But whatever, my theories aside, here's my point. What about British culture, apart from the boiled menu, which was repulsive? Do you think, but the national character, let me say it again, tidiness, self-restraint, selflessness, courage, fairness. The British system was imported around the world on the basis of one concept, fairness. That comes from the Magna Carta.
I think a lot of...
It's just become a fairer society. It's become completely unfair. You put fucking Julian Assange in prison for years without charges because the CIA told you to.
I've even gone back to the Magna Carta and looking at the legal issues, and I get canceled for it.
We have had a massive rising issue with the suppression of free speech.
Which is a fairness issue.
But that has nothing to do with ethnicity or culture.
Really? So what does it have to do with, do you think?
It has to do with a very ridiculously draconian view of what free speech
But where does that come
actually
from?
is.
You've never had
From
that.
governments.
No, but, of course. But those are attitudes that grow from the population, or else you would have a revolution. This is the country that
that's where you're wrong.
invented
No,
free
that's where you're wrong. The population does not want the suppression of free speech.
They may not, but they
Not
keep
the vast
voting for the
majority.
fascists every time, whether it's Boris, whether it's Boris,
He's not
or
a
whether it's Boris.
No.
He's a buffoon. It doesn't mean he's not an authoritarian.
He wants. It's funny you mentioned the word buffoon. So I once.
Well, I mean, that's axiomatic. Boris doesn't know how many children he has.
I'm going to tell you why. No, because I once interviewed him for GQ, and I said, Boris, this is 2008-9. I said, Boris, I've always thought that lurking beneath the buffoon exterior lies a sharp, calculating political mind that wants to be prime minister. He wasn't even a sort of politician at the time. He looked at me and he said, Piers, you must consider the possibility that lurking beneath the buffoon exterior is an actual buffoon.
True.
So he was right.
No, he was totally.
I can't say we weren't warned.
But the point is, look, it's not
He's
like
not a fascist, though, Boris Johnson.
he's an authoritarian.
Yeah, but it diminishes the word fascist when you say that about people. I get annoyed.
Well, what is fascism actually? I mean, we meaning the collective West, meaning the Allies, meaning Roosevelt and Churchill, meaning America and its cousins in the UK, were fighting against an authoritarian system. It wasn't just about race hate; it was about full control of a population. We were arguing against that and fighting against. Of course, we were also funding it and we some money to Stalin, but whatever. It was never fully consistent. But that's what we tell ourselves, and now that's what you have. There were 3 times as many people arrested in the UK last year for speech crimes as were arrested in Putin's Russia, and you have half the population. So this is much more authoritarian than Putin's Russia.
No, it's not.
What,
That's
how is
ridiculous.
it not?
That's ridiculous.
If you have 3 times as many arrests for speech crimes, it's more authoritarian.
I've not seen that stat. If that is true, it's because we have been so appalling in protecting free speech.
Well, you're appalling. I'm not, no debate there, but I'm just saying, as a, like, how do you define authoritarian?
The idea that we are living here in a more authoritarian state than Russia.
If you're, no, not come on. Those are the numbers.
You don't believe that.
Look, I believe in science. I believe in science.
You think England is more authoritarian than Russia?
I think you're more likely to be arrested for a speech crime in Great Britain, indeed 3 times as likely.
What would happen if you criticised the government? If you went on the airwaves here tonight?
I'm an American. They're not going to mess with me.
No, but if you went on the airwaves here tonight and you start abusing and hammering and mocking and criticising our Prime Minister, which, by the way, many people are doing.
I'll give you...
Let me finish my question. If you did that, what would happen to you?
Nothing.
Exactly.
But what if I said I thought gay sex was disgusting and should be illegal?
And if you went,
wait, hold on. That's nothing. Prime Minister. How about I'm opposed to sodomy? How's that?
I haven't finished my question. And if you went,
you can say anything about the politicians. That's what Tucker Carlson's point was, yeah, oh, everybody trashes the politicians. That's acceptable. But talk about actual issues that are important? Oh, no, they'll go after you.
To Moscow, and you went on the airwaves, and you did that about Putin, what would happen?
You'd be in trouble.
Right. So there's a difference.
No, because
that's an authoritarian state.
No, that's a straightforward.
This one is not.
That's a straightforward.
This is a flawed democracy.
No, this is
That
global
is
homo.
That is
this is no. This is
global homo.
It is global homo. This is.
What do you mean?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. This is a concept that you need to understand. This is
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. This is the authoritarianism of the present and future. And it's not, it's the feline, passive aggressive female version that doesn't tell you what it is. They don't march into your town in jack boots and put a rifle against your face and tell you to obey.
He's totally right. He's totally right. As I said, it's the gaslighting of the women. Oh, you can criticize the politicians. You can even get all of the goods on them for all of the illegal stuff they're doing. We just got a revolving door. That's good. That's good. Don't touch the ideological stuff that the feminists and the minoritist have been pushing forward. The woke illiberalism, that is where they draw the line. See, that's what Tucker Carlson is talking about, this like subversive.
It's much more straightforward.
And they kill you.
It's a
and you fall off a building suddenly.
Oh, you kill tons of people. You kill tons of people.
I don't disagree.
Oh, yeah, you do a lot. Yeah, right. So let's stop with the killing people because.
Oh my lord! I mean, come on, with all the false flags. This is coming out with the TPUSA stuff, the 9/11, even there's questions about the Butler shooting of Trump. I mean, they're out of control. I keep on saying. Come on, you guys. You complain about the Russians taking out anybody that they don't like that. Oh, we're in the race. I think we're running neck and neck. Maybe we should start taking some statistics there. I don't know, because we're in the race.
You kill tons of people. But as you well know, because you know the people who do it, and I do too. No, I'm saying there's something more offensive about an authoritarianism that will not admit what it is. So instead, people are arrested here and thrown into jail. And I've been to Belmarsh prison. It's awful.
I've been there.
It's awful. But you walk in and there are all these signs about Trans Acceptance Week. It is fascism wrapped in the Human Rights Campaign rainbow logo. It's not any different from what we were fighting against. It's arresting you for saying something they don't
certainly
want.
believe, and this has been my big criticism of the woke left. I wrote this book called Woke is Dead, which is more an aspiration than a reality at the moment. But the point I was...
Yeah, so you wrote a book. Oh, give the man an award. We got... Markets are flooded with books. One of my favorite stories is when I'm at the IMF and Akerlof, this is Janet Yellen's husband, is presenting his book. It's a book signing, speech. I go to that. I'm interested. I get the book. The only thing that these people were interested in were getting to the book and getting his signature so they could stick it on the coffee table and make everybody believe that they were intellectual because they were reading all of these books. I mean, people read and read and read in books, but they don't understand anything. My parents, now my father understood what he was reading. Anybody who ever met my father, he would know that. But my mother, 3,000 books they had at the end. They had to give away a lot when they went into the nursing home, obviously. So but I was like, what is all of this education? I mean, I have a diploma from a business degree from George Washington University. I went to exclusive boarding schools, which is supposed to give me the connections and the networks. The doors are open to me, and they would be if I wasn't calling out what's going on in family courts and what's in the Epstein files, all the pedophiles. When I first started my research, the first year, this was 2009, the first demonstration I went to, it was the Protective Mothers. Oh my goodness. I saw infighting, like secret meetings. I was like, what's going on here? First I was like, oh my God, you can't believe what's happening in Spain. I thought that they would be like, oh my Lord, no, that's just terrible. We've got to do something about this. Oh no, they said, welcome to the club. It's going on everywhere. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So then I go to another demonstration. Obviously, I'm just getting on board, want to find out what's going on. And luckily, I came across the father's rights demonstration instead of the pedophiles that were just at the other side of the Capitol. And I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, we got the pedophiles over there with the father's rights groups. I was like, you gotta... But see, I was labeled like an enemy of the protective mothers and the women's groups, because they want favoritism for the women instead of due process. I found that out after several years of being in that whole cesspool there. I did give a presentation at the Battered Mothers Custody Conference in 2015. I mean, you know, they said, I don't know, I was still in my research. I mean, that's, so as I say, that's about 10 years ago. So things have progressed. And one of the things also, I threw up my hands about 2015, 2016, with all of the feminist, well, the supposed women's rights and domestic violence and human rights people, and saying, I'm going to stop asking you for assistance because all you do is insult me if you even talk to me. And I'll see you in court as well. I mean, what the frick are you people doing? Nothing. They're all sitting, either you get up on a podium and you give a speech, or you start a nonprofit to give another speech and publish books. Or you're part of the propaganda media.
Like, making was that the woke left became in the end like the very fascists they profess to hate most. They literally behave like fascists. Yeah. Anyone that deviated from their worldview.
I don't want you to devalue the term.
No, I'm not. I'm explaining the hypocrisy of the left.
No, I get it.
Which I think we could probably agree with. Is if you start to behave like the very people you claim you hate most, you are a brazen hypocrite.
It's not just the left; it's the right.
Well, the right.
Unfortunately,
I agree. Some of the right thing as well. I agree. Hypocrisy is hypocrisy, isn't it? Wherever you see it. And I do think that the way I would categorize what's happened here is successive governments, right and left, have pandered to a weird sentiment driven by very vocal but small numbers of people that we have to start getting into the suppressing free speech business. And it's been a catastrophic failure, which has diminished this country. But why? What we're beginning to see is the coming out of that. And I'll give an example. When Graham Linehan, the communian, the father...
Piers Morgan, he's completely right on that. It's this, favoritism for a small minority. I mean, I couldn't believe it. One time this girl... one of the places I got fired was because it was an assistant manager. She got offended because when she told me that she was of Hungarian descent and American Indian descent, I asked her, what tribe are you from? What region? I'm looking at American history. And the next day I come in and I'm fired, just like that. Because I'm told, I mean, this had been a lot, they were just looking for a reason, the manager, she had just become the general manager. And so, of course, but, fired on the spot, because she had been offended by what I had said. And I'm sitting there going, you two are like, literally certifiable. Like, I mean, I wasn't going to pick a fight with them because it was like, literally, you're fired, get out of here. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I wish I had had it, recording of it. But I'm like, I'm offended. I'm offended that I come into work and I'm accosted like this, and that you crazy idiots. I'm offended by everything I've seen in this place since I've been here. And of course, this is the reason. As I say, this woman, she had just come in as general manager. She had gotten rid of, she had been angling, the other general manager had left. It was a single mom. She had left for maternity, you know, to have her baby. So while she was gone, this woman was angling to the one on maternity leave, white blonde woman, the other girl, a Latina. But then when her parents came in, I was like, huh, funny. Her mom's a white trash blonde, and her father's Latino. So I was like, not so Latina, are ya? So what's going on there? So anyway, maybe that's also got something to do with her mother and her relationship with her mother. But anyway, or maybe it was just pure greed and vicious witchery, because while the woman's on maternity leave, she trashes her behind her back to the owner, and of course she doesn't come back, and this girl gets the job as general manager. So that, of course, get rid of me, because I was brought in by the other manager, and I know how to run a restaurant. And I know everybody's doing a shitty job everywhere I work. That's why they keep on firing at me. I mean, right now I'm at this donut place and I'm by myself. So I'm like, I'm so glad just to be by myself and not have to deal with other people bitching at me or sabotaging shit. My favorite the other day is I got blamed. They said, why did you take cash? I said, I didn't take cash. We don't take cash anymore. He's like, yeah, they said it was you. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, it was on Friday. I said, I didn't work on Friday. I said, check the schedule, check the punch in. I wasn't there. He said, oh, they said it was you. I said, of course they did. They blame me for everything, these kids. These Latino, they've all, the bullying by those little kids. I tell you, they're pissing me off. This is a bad idea. Anyway.
The TED genius, right? And he decided to take on this whole trans issue head on. And a bit like J.K. Rowling, he got shamed, vilified, cancelled. He lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his jobs. He lost everything. He became unemployable. Completely cancelled. And he did some jokes on X back in April. And they were just like harmless. Right, he talked about a trans woman coming into a woman's space.
Harmless to you as a non-trans person, but genocidal to the trans community.
Which again is ridiculous. So he did a joke about a trans woman coming into a woman's space, and they said, "What, you should kick him in the balls?" Right? It was a joke. It was an ear knuckle joke. If you're oversensitive, you go, "Ooh." Most people just laughed and took it for what it was. It's that kind of joke that wouldn't even be considered remotely controversial 10 years ago. When he arrived at Heathrow Airport several months later, he was arrested by 5 armed police officers and taken off to the cells. And I just found that utterly shocking. So I'm not pretending there's not been a massive problem about free speech. But what was interesting and encouraging was the public backlash. Hence my book title, Woke is Dead. The public backlash was so ferocious that within a week, the police said, we're not going to prosecute Lennon. And actually, they said further, we're never going to prosecute anyone for this kind of thing again. That was a moment when I went, we're finally getting a bit of sense.
Woke will not be dead until the British royals take charge of their country. What? Oh, there was a little bit of a backlash. No, this is the job of royalty, of the monarchs. The monarchs all lost power, well, with their greed of the 1800s, but they lost power at the end of the 1800s into the 1900s to the industrialist. And that's how we had the dictatorship of Mussolini, Franco, Hitler. Hitler wasn't alone. I mean, this whole Tucker Carlson, he said like Holocaust denier. What is that? Everybody's like, you're a Holocaust denier. Well, I was always like, what is that? I'm still with the question. You're not denying that people were killed. Or even that I'm sure that there were concentration camps and they were exterminated. There was a movie about that there was a woman who had been a nurse, and she said, well, first start, they didn't begin as a concentration camps, but they kept on getting more and more and more people into these camps, and they didn't know what to do with them. They were all starving. So obviously, this is not, an example of what one should do with that situation. One should avoid having camps where you keep on sending people and you don't have anything to do with them, obviously. But that, it was a solution to a problem. If you look at wars and throughout, and I'm going, history, thousands of years, in fact, slavery was a humane way of dealing with what do you do with all of these people that have become, you conquered. First, you can't let them go because then they'll arm and then they'll come back and get you. They became part of the spoils of war and the booty, and that's what life was about. I went into this with Candace Owens stuff about the whole slavery because the African Americans have really, they pull out the slavery card, and it's like, excuse me, that was your great grandfather. Where are you on the new Jim Crow and how 90% of urban Black Americans either have a criminal record or in prison, which disenfranchises them in many ways. They have problems finding a job. They can't vote. The voting, I think, is there's ambiguity there because it depends on the situation, but still, and that has been policies of the American government, and they've been involved in the drug trade, bringing in drugs in order to get these kids on drugs, on crack cocaine, so then they go to prison. And it was intentionally, it was created, the new Jim Crow. They knew what they were doing. It was all of these oligarchs who owned the lobbyists, who owned the members, the elected officials, because they buy them with election donations. It's got to stop, and everybody's got to stop saying what a great democracy we've got. And the Brits, the same. But King Charles and Prince Andrew, they need to grow a pair. I have defended Prince Andrew, and unless anybody can bring, any real evidence, a photo with a young girl, Virginia Giuffre, and him standing both with clothes on, that's and you don't even know the photo, you don't have an original. Therefore, you can't prove that, you have to have forensic evidence here. You can't prove it. The other one of him, leaning over a woman who's lying down, again, completely clothed. There is no wrongdoing in what the photo presents. Not under, misdemeanor or felony. So unless, okay, what is he doing? Leaning over a woman. That's nobody's, unless there's some connection to some wrongdoing, who gives a frick? And it's nobody's business, sorry. So, and I have always said, sorry, I live downtown DC. I have always said that they went after him. It was to disempower the British Crown. And everybody who's involved in it, all the Brits who are involved in it, this gets into treason. If you collude in trying to overthrow your monarch, that goes under treason. I know I've read the Spanish Constitution. And in fact, all the Spaniards I know are really up a creek without a paddle on that shit. Because my case is in Spain, and Since I could get no help from all these assholes in Washington, I mean, hell, I don't have a law degree, but I don't need one. My torts, writs, and contracts, I learned more than enough in law, commercial law 101, and I read the Constitution, the Penal Code, the Civil Code of Spain, and I was like, okay, yeah, it took me time. And I wasn't going to read through all the jurisprudence and shit like that. I didn't pull any of that shit in. But with the with the Spanish Constitution, I had the International Human Rights Conventions. Tell me where I'm wrong. I want people to stop telling me to shut up, stupid. And address the issue. Stop attacking me personally. Tell me where, I mean, because I argue in a lot of places. Where am I wrong in my case against the Spanish government? Where am I wrong in what I'm telling Congress to do, that they have to oversee the executive and the judicial branch? Where am I wrong that we have to have the courts cleaned up? Where am I wrong that malicious litigation, if you knowingly go to the courts to harass or extort money from somebody, that's illegal. And not only could the lawyers go to prison for it, but you can as well. And then to be sued for damages. So, as I say, you want to explain to me where I'm wrong, you get on a public forum or within a courtroom. Now I need a lawyer because we need to submit all of the paperwork and stuff like that. And that's exactly where I'm like, look, I can't do everything. More freaking lawyers out there than you know what to do with.
It's not, so the
and don't talk to me about retainer fee. Go and jump. I mean, I've done all of the work. You can at least do that. You're going to stuff your pockets shitload if you help me.
This thing is absurd. It's so absurd that it's easy for people to say that's absurd. What's actually happening here, as I think you know, is a society is being changed by its leaders against the will of the population. The population hates it. They've always hated it. No population wants radical demographic change. None. And so it's been so profound since 1997 under Tony Blair that you're not allowed to note that your country is being taken from you. Okay. So you can criticize trannies all you want. You cannot criticize Israel, as you know. You're not allowed to criticize demographic change, and you can't criticize the rest of the fabled LGBT community. And if you don't believe me, listen to this story, which is it's unbelievable. This is from the Daily Mail, which is kind of a ridiculous publication, but I love the Daily Mail. I do too. There's a lot about it I like, but I mean, that's absurd. But anyway, Elizabeth Kinney from Tranmere. Have you read about this? Go on. She's a mother of 4. I think she's a nurse, and she gets beaten up by her boyfriend. He beats her up. She goes to the hospital, and she texts someone, a buddy of hers, a friend of hers, a girlfriend of hers, and describes the man who beat her up and sent her to the hospital as a, quote, faggot. He's a faggot. And she's arrested and convicted of a hate crime. The guy who beat her up is not arrested or convicted. And then she goes through this whole kabuki, which is now required, where she prostrates herself before the judge. I'm sorry, it was not a homophobic rant. By the way, you're allowed to be homophobic if you want in a free country. You can have any view you want. But no, because she used the word faggot, she's arrested, and the guy who punched her in the face was not. That story tells you everything.
Well, I don't know that story. If it's exactly
Daily Mail, baby.
Okay.
Pictures of her and everything.
I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying I need to look into it. But if that is how you've told it, obviously it's ridiculous.
Would you say the word faggot on camera?
No.
Why?
You
don't want to get arrested, do you?
Doesn't want to be arrested.
Because it's so harmful to people?
No,
is it like gay bashing? What's wrong with that?
No, actually, my whole issue with the whole trans debate, for example, is you don't need to slide into actually saying derogatory.
So we'll go the F word debate. Okay, we'll get over the F word debate. Abortion and
lecturing me because I'm using the word retard. It's like maybe we're missing the real argument. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense?
It does. Although I'm pro a woman's right to choose what to do with her body,
including aborting someone because he's retarded.
In this country, to be clear, abortion's a very settled issue.
George Galloway doesn't believe it.
Well, no, but honestly, it's not a contentious issue. In America, I know in America, it's a ferociously contentious issue. It is simply not one in this country.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
I don't think it's a problem at all.
Who's having the abortions here?
Well, a lot of people have abortions here.
Right. It's pretty overwhelmingly, though, people whose grandparents lived here. Have you ever noticed that?
Whose people? Who what?
It's the native population having the abortions. It's not immigrants not having a ton of abortions. If you look at the numbers.
I don't know the demographic.
But that's true everywhere.
Okay,
And
we'll
just a deeper issue. So,
I already said my position. Let's stop producing unwanted pregnancies. Murder rate in
London, in particular, has been almost a template, actually, for tolerance and cohesion and multiculturalism at its best.
The stabbings you're talking about.
Well, let's talk about the stabbings. The murder rate in London, do you know what it is compared to any major city in America?
Probably much lower, I would think.
It's
Way lower testosterone level here. I mean, you can feel it too.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Every time, I'm aware.
That's
I'm
true.
aware. But look,
You have the worst murder rates.
well, I know. And by the way, we always have, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of factors for that. And it's one of the saddest things in my country. I would never defend.
The murder rate in London, for example, I checked before I came and saw you because I thought
Do you think London's a better city than it was 40 years ago, 50 years ago?
well, statistically, the murder rate is actually been plummeting in London.
Do you know
Which
any?
I'm good. I tell you the problem in London. What we really need in London.
Wait, do you think it's a better city than it was 40 years ago for real?
Yeah.
You think Sadiq Khan's better than what you had before?
I think Sadiq Khan is somebody who's won 2 more terms after his first, because actually he's not done as bad a job as people say.
Oh, that's the new standard.
Nor has he done as good a job as he would like you to believe. But certainly in things like tackling murder, I give him credit. In tackling things like the clean air, where some of the boroughs here were the most polluted.
You have no factories. You don't make anything. All you do is banking. How could there be dirty air? What are you even talking about? There's no manufacturing. You lost automotive. You lost aerospace. You lost everything. Steel. It's clean air because people are idle. They're delivering food to people who work at banks. That's it.
There is more.
Yeah, Tucker hit on a real important issue here and something. See, yeah, London is the epicenter. It's like the core of the cancer in the banking system and what needs to be cleaned up. Yeah. So as Tucker points out, the economy is based on people sitting around being idle, or, the banking and people making food to feed the people in the banking system. That's a little bit more than that. But yeah, everything else is gone. Can you imagine what London's economy is going to be like with a complete collapse in the banking system? King Charles, Prince Andrew, Prince William, Prince Edward, wake up and smell the coffee, because this is not going to go well.
There is more traffic now in London than there was even 4 years ago.
I'm sure.
Right. So
it's called tourism.
So my borough, Kensington and Chelsea, for example, 1 in 12 people. There was a big study on this a few years ago. 1 in 12.
Oh yeah, tourism. We've already seen. That was in the first, I think, video that I did. How the overinvestment and concentration of services and products has been geared towards tourism, and it's had a very, very detrimental effect. Same thing as in London. I mean, England is beautiful. London is a wonderful city to visit. I'm the first one to say so. Paris as well. And they're being trashed.
People were dying from pollution-related illness, right? I had a lot of issues, which I thought were allergy issues. Eventually, I was told, right, here's what you should do. Check your air quality app every morning. When it's really high, don't go out and shut the windows. Secondly, get air purifying machines in your house for the rooms you use. I did both. Guess what? I've had no problem since. And I didn't have any allergies.
Well, that's amazing.
Well,
and all it cost was the total destruction of your economy. So why do you think the air was polluted before?
Well,
because people were burning.
Our economy is not being destroyed. We're still one of the biggest economies in the world.
What is the economy here? What's it based on?
What do you mean?
What's the British economy? I look at the economy of, I don't know, Wales in 1900, and it's like, it's coal. They mine, they did coal, people burn it. That's what their economy is. Look at the economy of Sheffield or Birmingham 100 years ago. Well, of course, it was steelmaking. What's the economy?
There's a lot of manufacturing in the UK.
But as a percentage, your economy...
percentage of manufacturing would be a lot less.
A lot less? It's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Right. So
we still have one of the biggest economies in the world. Now,
but what is that economy based on?
A lot of things.
Okay, what's the main one?
Well, the city, there's a lot of manufacturing.
That's the main one?
Well, there's a lot of technology stuff going on. There's a lot of scientific stuff going on. There's a lot of all sorts of industry.
You haven't mentioned the biggest one by far.
Well, go on.
It's lending money to people. It's banking.
Banking, yeah. Okay.
We're in the city of London right now. Sure. How many things are being made in the city of London other than debt?
It's one of the financial hubs of the world. We're right in the city here.
I know we're sitting in the city of London right now, run by Sadiq Khan.
Right. But again, it's not as bad as people think it is.
But hold on. Is that really an economy? If your economy is real estate, that's London's other big economic center, is buying and selling and leasing pieces of property again and again to different people. Nothing's being created.
But that's not true. That's not true. We are creating things here. A lot of things.
Like what?
There's a lot of money.
Barada. Okay. Yeah. Of course, there's a lot of money because people from around the world stash their money here because it's a system based on fairness.
There's a lot of manufacturing. Not as much as there was 80 years ago.
How much is in London, your biggest city?
I don't know the percentages. So we have to check.
Pretty much, unless you're talking about like burritos being manufactured or whatever. I don't think there's really any.
The bigger problem for us is not what economy we're doing, it's how we manage the economy.
So it doesn't matter where the money comes from?
It does, but successive governments have dragged us to a place where we have almost zero growth. Without growth, you can't have a successful, thriving country.
That's not true. Have you been to Japan? It's like the most successful, thriving country in the world. It has had no growth for a long, not real growth. And we've gotten these lectures from the bankers for like 30 years. Japan is dying. Ever go to Japan? You get their 4-year-old girls in the subway alone. There's not one speck of litter in all of Tokyo, and it's one of the biggest cities in the world, 12 million. It's an incredible society. It's the opposite of New York, London, Baltimore, Detroit. It's incredible. I know you've been there, and I know you've had these naughty forbidden thoughts like, wait a second, I thought we dropped a bomb on them. How are they so great?
No. I like going to Tokyo.
No growth. How'd they do that with no growth? I was assured by libertarian economics, if we had no growth, things would be bad. Look at this.
I like going to Japan, but I wouldn't swap it for London.
Right. Fair. You're English. That's kind of the point. Right. This is your homeland.
And I genuinely do love London.
No, I bet you do.
When I lived in America full time, I really missed a lot of the.
I hope so. This is where your ancestors are from. I get it. That's the whole point. That's the whole argument I'm making. It matters where you're from. The culture really matters. It's not about growth. It's not about any of this crap. It's about, am I on the same page with my neighbor? Do we have something in common? Do we have the same gut instincts about things? Those are the most important questions there are.
But economic prosperity raises all the ships.
Has that been true here?
It should be true.
Is there more poverty in London now than there was 40 years ago?
There's more child poverty.
Yes, I know.
In fact, the child poverty rate is worse here than it is in America.
A lot worse.
The general poverty rate.
So how is this so great, even though they have
the general
Barada?
poverty rate is actually lower than it is in America, but child poverty specifically.
Is there anything that matters other than child poverty? I mean, not really. So, look, I'm not slagging on. I love your country. I really thought a lot about this since I was so mean during that conversation. I was just wounded because I feel like the destruction of Britain has effects on our entire Anglo civilization.
Did you actually look out and say a destroyed?
No, this is beautiful. I mean, this is, again, this is the rich part of town.
I can take you to Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow.
Now, we did take a little look with Spanian before we started this.
Cardiff. I can take you to.
How are they doing?
They're all doing great. Much better than you think. Honestly, Tucker, you'll walk around, you'll see the pubs packed, the restaurants packed, the theatres packed. You'll see people having a great time. Go out on a Friday night in London. Go to the Devonshire in Soho, the best Irish pub in town. 4 deep in the streets. Everyone having a great time.
I love that.
20,000 pints of Guinness being sold every week.
I could say that there are so many things about London I really like. I've been here 3 days, again, visiting relatives. Who
genuinely, do you feel threatened walking around?
No, not at all. Of course. Again, who's going to do anything? Pakistanis are all super nice to me, and the whites are all kind of craven and sad. No, you're totally safe here, man. It's not that at all. It's just that it's dirty.
It's what?
It's dirty.
Oh, come on. American cities aren't any cleaner than London.
They're dirtier. They're dirtier. And it's one of the great tragedies. And I can't get anyone to care.
I agree.
Nobody cares.
I agree.
Justifying that his city is dirty by saying American cities are dirtier. And I mean, oh God. Oh God.
Agree.
So that to me, if I went to your bedroom right now, I'm not going, especially not after the whole faggot thing. It's like, I'm uncomfortable. I get it. And you said you were so liberal. But if I went to your house unannounced, I bet I would find it tidy and clean. Yeah. And I bet I would find out it's because you have a housekeeper. I don't even know if you do, but because you care, because you have self-respect.
Right.
That's why you shave it.
But I agree with that point. I think the self-respect part, I totally agree with you. We've lost that. We've lost I think the British were legendary for our politeness, our manners.
Yes.
That has gone. We've really.
But that's everything.
No, but I totally agree with you. So when you talk about the cultural stuff that I really regret that has gone out of fashion, if you like, it is things like that. It's things like, a British person used to speak well and open doors for women and things like that. Now that's frowned upon. Right, the kind of screaming radical feminists have made it almost a taboo thing. Young men in particular do not know how to behave. When I'm out with them, I notice they don't stand up when women walk into a room or to a table. They don't open doors for them and stuff because they've been conditioned to think this might be toxic masculinity and all this bullshit. That kind of stuff really worries me.
Do you ever wonder where it comes from? Because I know the answer, but I'm
you're going to say it's multiculturalism, but a lot of the other cultures that come here actually have far more politeness.
I agree. I agree completely.
So
that's exactly my point. Is that the cost is to the invaded. You're being invaded. You already said there are boats showing up uninvited. That's called an invasion. It's happened a lot through history. And it's the people who are conquered, who are vanquished, who suffer. The immigrants all seem kind of happy. It's better than Bangalore, or wherever.
We don't feel conquered.
What about the example that the ruling elite Brits are giving? The ivory tower, they don't want to deal with any unpleasantness. I mean, as I said before, when I got into the problems within family courts, everybody said, this is everywhere. It is global. The issues that we are confronting and that I've been bringing to the courts, or been trying to bring to the courts and been bringing to the politicians, these are problems of all court systems, whether East or West. And fundamentally, it's about due process. Now, the logistics of how you arrive at due process is going to be different in the United States as in England. Well, not so much because we are basic, but okay. Then under Sharia law, but even there are different procedures. This is also even between one state or other. This is one of the reasons, oh, everybody says, you should have become a lawyer. You should become a lawyer. I'm like, no, I need help from lawyers. All of this, even if you get a law degree, you still have to learn how to, all the filings. Okay, it's not rocket science, but one person can't do everything.
Well, but you are, though. I mean, if people are showing up in boats in your country, I don't know what to do about them. Well, how about sink them?
To put it in perspective,
Lord Nelson would put
it in perspective. In the last 5 years, we've had about 200,000 people come over our southern border. In the last 5 years in America, until Donald Trump got a grip of it, you have apparently 10 million come over the southern border.
Oh, more.
Right. So I'm afraid there is no comparison. We have a little problem. You had a gigantic problem.
Let me add an amen, as we say in the Black church. I totally agree. And that's why Britain is so interesting, because for two reasons. One, the people who are being invaded and replaced are the native population. They're the Iroquois of the British Isles. They've been here forever. Their ancestors' bones are at Stonehenge. There's no debate about that, though they pretend otherwise, but that's just a fact. So eliminating indigenous populations is like kind of a sin, I thought, but it's happening here and in Ireland and in Scotland and in Wales. A. B.
Hang on, they're not being eliminated.
Of course they are. Look at the birth rates. What are their birth rates?
That's not an elimination.
Of course it is. Over time it is.
That is people taking a decision about their own lives and not having enough children, or as many as they used to have.
Well,
that's not elimination.
A process.
Tucker Carlson has a point. We have these declining birth rates, and so after a couple of generations, these immigrant populations who have, are producing 10, 12 children will eventually give them 2, 3, 4 generations, and they will become the majority.
Forcing them? No one's telling the white population.
Ask any statistician to crunch the numbers on that one.
Population of this country, you can't have more than one child.
Well, that's kind of the point that I'm making.
No, they're not.
Well, whatever they're doing, I mean, they're certainly encouraging. They're aggressively encouraging homosexuality. You use the F word and you go to jail. No, what is that? You can't, if you want to know who's in charge, you can't criticize. You can't use the word faggot. What?
No one's aggressively encouraging homosexuality.
In jail for using a naughty word about gays, dude. They're not encouraging it. What do you think that is?
Even in the 80s, my gay friends, they were all coming out of the closet, and I had no problem with that. I was like, I think everybody should live their life how they see fit. But they would say, oh yeah, come on, admit it. Everybody is like gay. Everybody's bisexual. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not attracted to the same sex. But this was something, and I was always like, like, what is it? Do you guys have such a thing about this being unacceptable, that it's got to be the norm for you to be that way? I'm like, well, that's, they're missing the whole point. I'm like, no, live and let live. But it was really, and it has gotten to the point where they want everybody to be gay.
What's wrong with homosexuality?
Well, if you encourage it and the rate goes up, people have fewer kids. I don't know. Did you do biology?
Well, no. So to be clear, the rate gay people don't have kids.
That's the point I'm making. Right, so if all of a sudden you have more people being gay, which you do a lot.
No, you don't. People don't pretend to be gay.
Do you have the internet?
Huh?
I don't know. I'm not saying they're pretending. I'm saying you've got way more.
Yeah, you're gay, right?
Well, we used to say that, but
you don't think so?
Well, I used to think that, but all of a sudden you're having...
Also, people putting their hand up saying they're trans. That's a different issue.
Oh, it's totally different. It's not part of the continuum. It's not like gender isn't real. I can pretend...
If you're gay, you're gay.
I have to finish this up, so yeah. So
you don't actually think people can be persuaded to be gay?
Well, then why don't you explain the 2-fold or 3-fold increase in self-identified homosexuals in the United States?
I can't. They used to be repressed. It used to be illegal in this country until the mid-60s. You literally went to jail.
So all through...
Yeah, no, this is bullshit. There's a very good interview Tucker Carlson does with this Milo. It's a Greek last name, starts with a Y. And he says, why are you gay? Because Tucker makes a good point. He says there's no gene. They've done that in science. There is no gene that, makes a person gay or not gay, like with your color of your eyes, the color of your hair, whatever. So it's not like our sexual orientation is not something, and this is all of the gay people are always like, they were just born that way. So it would be something in their DNA and their genes. And Tucker Carlson's like, but science is saying that that's not the case. And Milo was just like, well, no, it is a choice. So this whole thing, Tucker Carlson is right, but it's an interesting interview. Anybody wants to, okay.
Let me.
Actually are gay, or whether you think they've been somehow turned.
Oh, Lord, let's get on with this.
How does that work?
They're born gay.
How?
They have a sexual attraction.
No,
to their
I understand.
Okay, as I say.
As they say in Nigeria, why are you gay? And no one will answer it.
Well, in Nigeria, it's a criminal offense to be gay.
I don't know.
You think there aren't gay people in Nigeria?
I haven't been there in a while.
Of course there are gay people in Nigeria.
Where does it come from?
But they can't
and
admit
you
they're
can't
gay,
answer the question.
Because if they admit they're gay, they
Yeah.
get put in prison.
Yeah, where does
That
it
can't
come
be right,
from?
right? You're a guy.
I say this is okay. That's an interesting discussion between Milo and Tucker Carlson on the issue, because it is, like, okay, well now.
Why aren't you more panicked that thousands of people, by their own admission, the admission
This is particularly important in the discussion, like the pedophilia, how that's being promoted. And I know I've been in the thick of it, so I know it is. And this is not just conspiracy theory or wacko stuff. It's opening the doors to a normalization of this hedonistic lifestyle, and it is very confusing to all of these kids. And then you've got now the transgender stuff that's gone completely wacko. It has been taken into this territory that is of grave concern for social orders. And the feminists who are taking their feminism, liberating women in the Middle East. I mean, when I hear these Green Berets saying that when they're in the Middle East or when they were in Afghanistan and they saw men sexually assaulting young boys, that they were not supposed to do anything, they were not supposed to intervene, that it was a cultural thing. This is what they were instructed by the army. I was like, this is crazy. It's precisely because that kind of behavior is being promoted that you have the extreme religious groups that are rising to power in the Middle East that everybody's calling terrorist. And effectively, yeah, they're putting bombs in there. Everybody's been always, revolutionaries have been doing that since time began.
The British government arrested every year for saying words, not threats, words.
I am. I've expressed
So why doesn't someone try to overthrow the government? I don't understand. How can they treat you like slaves
if they carry on down that road?
Well, they are carrying it on. It's thousands a year. It's getting more.
Then they will be voted out of office.
Voted
I guarantee it. Yes.
Is that what Winston Churchill would say? I think Winston Churchill said, even if a strong man tries to take Poland, a country we've got nothing to do with, it's not even close to here, we're going to risk the lives of our citizens to liberate Poland.
Poland is closer to here than your home is to New York.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So it's all relative. So
well, it's a tiny little Lego Europe. I get it.
If Maine got attacked, would you expect people in New York
Poland
to
has
help?
nothing to do with it.
If Maine got attacked.
Okay.
Britain
So this idea that he's driven, that we're on the verge of some sort of civil war here. Do you feel that when you walk around?
No, because that's my point. You're so passive.
But not passive.
They take your human rights away and you're like, oh, defending Ukraine is so important. We're so proud to have defended Poland's territorial integrity 80 years ago. It's like, great. I'm so glad.
I'm very proud of that.
Apparently. Yeah. But it's all a kind of displacement where you're taking your own frustrations with yourselves and your own cowardice and sort of living in this Walter Mitty world. Like, no, actually, we're brave. We're going to defend Ukraine. It's like, what about defend yourselves against the monsters who are taking
defending Ukraine?
It's like 8th on the list.
Yeah,
Defend
completely right. Deal with your internal issues, and they're serious, very serious. So, okay.
But actually, what it's been is a systematic failure to control our borders going back, I would say, 25 years. That's really what's happened.
Just all I'm saying is it doesn't seem democratic. It doesn't seem that's what the people want at all.
I agree. It's now become a massive issue. And the big issue, actually, is because they put a lot of these so-called asylum seekers, and many of them are not, the economic seekers who want a better life here. I don't blame them. It's a great country to come to. but a lot of them have been put in really nice quality hotels, and they're being processed sometimes for 2 years.
But why are there so many asylum seekers when the World Bank and IMF and UN have been working so hard to develop countries and have peace since the 1950s? So why we keep on getting refugees?
Is 3 years. They're living a very comfortable, luxurious life in neighborhoods where there is real abject poverty. And that is what is causing a lot of unrest. And I get that. And I have great sympathy with the people who live in those areas who are really struggling to feed their kids, who are seeing these people coming in on the boats illegally and being put in fancy hotels. That has to stop. And you also have to process these people a lot quicker for their sake and for the country's. Are you a genuine asylum seeker? I never want this country to be a place that rejects genuine asylum seekers.
Why?
Well, because actually I believe that we have a duty to take care of people who are genuinely
How about your own people?
Well, what about fleeing war-torn countries where we've started the war? What about people?
Stop starting wars. You're doing it again.
Okay, but one of us opposed the Iraq war at the time, and it wasn't you.
I've been atoning for it ever since. I was one of the worst
I led
offenders.
the campaign here against the Iraq war. It cost me my job in the end. I led the
Good for you.
I led a front-page assault on that.
You should stick with that. You should stick with that.
Well, I take a lot of. I like to look at each war in isolation. Well, I do.
I get it. Piers Morgan, I know you've got a job. You've been so gracious in defending your country.
By the way, I meant to start with this. Until today, I had no idea that you appeared on Dancing with the Stars.
I didn't. That's AI.
Somebody tweeted the clip today with two friends of mine, Len Goodman, sadly no longer with us, Bruno Tonioli, ripping you a new one.
Of course.
For your dancing. I don't
really think their attacks had much to do with my appearance.
You are many things.
Stars. I'm just suspecting.
Well, you are many. Well, there was a point. You didn't really do much dancing. And as Bruno put it, the problem started when you actually danced.
You know, honestly.
Has your dancing improved?
My dancing is pretty good. I have a little trouble taking instruction. But, you know, I would just say what they always say when the nude pictures of the porno tape emerge years later. I was young and I needed the money. Okay. Piers Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending all this time.
Welcome to
Great
my
to see
country.
you. It is a lovely country. Actually, I just have to say that.
Go and have a walk out there. Go and have a pint in the Devonshire. I'll take you to the next Arsenal game. You'll love it.
Thank you. Christmas is back, and so is our merchandise shop at TCN. Visit tuckercarlson.com to see what we have to offer, and it's awesome. Everyone has a long list of people they need to shop for this Christmas. Our new line can help you brighten the day with gifts they will actually love, not the kind they're going to throw away. Well, thank you for, but not mean it. Actually good stuff that's great for everybody. Ornaments, wrapping paper, Christmas sweaters. For real. The TCN shop has everything you need. Dozens of new styles and designs perfect for the gift giving and spreading the Christmas spirit. That's tuckercarlson.com. We hope you have the very best Christmas.
So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots, we love you, and all of the triple Trumpers and fascist collaborators can do what, Pumps? Fuck off! All right, Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, sorry. I went to do something. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for today. These two women will be seen later on. Yeah, because I've got to get going. I'll do the rest of it this afternoon. So I guess this will just continue on. So what I'll cover later in the next video will be George Farmer and Candace Owens. Candace Owens is a am I sharing this yet? Candace Owens, she's a conservative Christian, well, she Catholic podcaster who has been investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination, and her husband is British, and his father is a metals trader, so in the financial markets, and was appointed baron, a baron, by Queen Elizabeth for his work. But we'll see. We'll be looking into him and see how, the discussion of what Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson were talking about, the financial system and the issues of London and their economy, and how that's really a house of cards. This is as much Wall Street in New York, but at least New York, I think, they don't have much manufacturing either. I mean, New York is pretty much in the same can of worms. And in fact, so many of the socioeconomic problems across the globe are in order to support the dysfunctional bullshit that's going on in London and New York and Paris and Madrid. I mean, the other capitals are just following their lead, and these two are really the two cities at the lead. And as Tucker Carlson pointed out, Tokyo has zero growth. And their obsession with growth, The Economist, is not being how shall I say, successful, productive. So anyway, as I say, I'll go into that, and then how these are for my boarding school. There's two journalists, Misha Hussain and Marianne Seigart, that we'll be looking into. Marianne is the author of The Authority Gap. Her father was the author of The Lawful Rights of Mankind. And a bit how history is repeating itself. Excuse me, sorry. And this, we've got Katie Miller. Stephen and Katie Miller are the new Goebbels. They're the Goebbels in the Trump administration. So that's what I'll be looking at in the next video. And that's it for now. Bye-bye.